Them niggas shrink around you, man. You know what I'm saying? They just in the space probably before you was a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas shrink when you come around. That's why them niggas don't want you around.
The age gap, though, depends on the age of the man.
Them niggas shrink around you, man. You know what I'm saying? They just in the space probably before you was a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas shrink when you come around. That's why them niggas don't want you around.
Situation with the genders and all of that shit that we've been hearing about. And there's nobody better than the gore philosophical to come set that bitch off.
Yo, you know the game been.
What's going on? What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? We back at it. We are back at it. Well, today's show was inspired by, sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm trying to do multiple things at once. How's everybody doing? Hope you had a great week. The weekend's coming up. Hope y'all got some plans. Enjoy the weather. It's starting to break, starting to get pretty, starting to get nice out here. So, let's enjoy ourselves this weekend. But thanks for everybody that tuned into the last show. It was pretty successful. We got another closed panel today, and I got a few some good brothers I want to chop it up with us. Just talk about this recent interview with Miss Amanda Seales and Shannon Sharp, and she said some things that kind of just triggered me in a way to just realize, like, a lot of these women today, they come through the guise of activism, and it's really just feminism with another face. And I feel like I got some good brothers that can give a lot of different contexts, a lot of different perspectives, and I think we have a good conversation. I feel like it's been a culture of women just coming in and speaking on behalf, acting like they're about the community, acting like they're about, black men and black women, but they're really about black women, and that's fine. But just come like that. Just say, hey, I'm about the sisterhood. Hey, I'm about this community or that community. But I feel like a lot of women these days in the public eye that claim to be activists are really just feminists under another name. So let me introduce my illustrious guest. We got my man Dorian Lee.
What's up, bro?
What's going on, brother?
Doing well.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
What's going on, Sheen?
Chilling,
and we got my man Sean Bolden.
What up?
I'm blessed to have you guys here. So we're gonna start with you, Dorian. Just introduce. This second time you've been here. Just introduce everybody to who you are, what you're about, and just let you know who you are.
Yeah, I'm the guy that I run people around cones for a living as a basketball trainer. So been doing it for about 2 decades. A bunch of kids throughout schools in the U.S. And it's really been a who's list of notables, NBA, WNBA, high-level international players, the whole nine. But this is the type of conversations that I like having, because I have these conversations with the kids that I train, because this impacts their careers athletically as well, relationships and the way that they communicate in space. All of that stuff is uber important to me. So that's who I am, and I'm here just to be a student as well.
Definitely. Sheen, this brother right here was the first brother, one of the first brothers that interviewed me when I went viral, and that was one of the, still to this day, my favorite interview. You know what I mean? Like, I learned a lot from how he interviewed, and it was just very, which is a good quality interview, and that's still my favorite one to this day. So introduce everybody to who you are, Shane.
Man, first of all, I want to say I appreciate that, man. It's good to hear that we are still impressing each other as brothers. My name is Sheem. I'm an interviewer. I love to do philosophy. I love words. I love talking to people and learning from everybody. And I'm just looking forward to hearing what I can learn today. That's it.
Definitely. And last but not least, my big bro, Sean Bolden. Introduce yourself, brother.
What's going on? My name is Sean Bolden. Some people know me as Sean B. And I'm here thanks to S.T.S.U and the brothers. I can't wait to speak with you in reference to some of these issues that as I was telling Illa earlier, I just do this because I enjoy conversations and I enjoy broad perspectives and sharing perspective.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So let's get into it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the sister Angel Reese. You know, she's come to fame in the last 2 years based on her performance in the Final Four last year and her defeat this year. But I know it was two different ways that they both went about handling it. And it's not a comparison to Caitlin Clark, because one thing I don't like when people do, and I don't want to do it, I don't want to compare us to another race, but I'm just talking about decorum. You know what I'm saying? Everybody made a big deal of Caitlin Clark and how she carried herself. But one thing I noticed that when they came at her, she just took it on the chin, like, hey, man, it is what it is. You know, I talk what I was talking. I'm competitive, but, you know, congratulations to LSU. She didn't cry, she didn't whine, she didn't do none of that. You know what I mean? She took her loss on the chin, even though Angel was all in her face doing this. And I remember Caitlin doing it, but I don't watch women's basketball. But I know when I did check it out, I don't recall her going to somebody's face doing that. Like, I remember her doing it to the crowd or to the bench, but I'm not sure she was in someone's face doing that. But, you know, it just seems like we make excuses for our men and women just because we deal with systematic racism and just because we may deal with systematic issues. That doesn't give us the right to change our decorum. I'm not saying we got to turn the other cheek and let ketchup get poured on our heads. We ain't talking about that. But I feel like we should always keep our decorum, and we should, if we champions, we're going to be champions in victory and in defeat. So how do you feel about that, Doran? Because I know you're close to the game of basketball. How did you feel about the way the take on Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark too, brother? You muted. Doran, you're muted.
Okay, cool. All right. So you know, I've been in this space for a long time, been blessed to train some of the best on the women's side to ever play. The Maya Moore, Shamika Holesclaw, Cheryl Ford, Swin Cassius, all of them, right? And very, very they were very, very good from a PR standpoint, right? They really understood what to say, when to say it, how to navigate around delicate topics and things of that nature. Now, number one, Caitlin Clark never did that to anybody. She actually did it to her strength coach on her bench. Haley Van Lith was walking by, so people thought it was Haley Van Lith. And Haley Van Lith has since done an interview, and they don't really play that one a lot, but she was saying, like, I don't know where they got that from. Caitlin wasn't doing that to me. She was doing it to her strength coach, but just angles and the way things appear, right, can change everything. But what Angel did, Angel was shooting for a viral moment, because if you look at the history of her, she's gotten a lot of love on Overtime, WBB. She's gotten a lot of love in these spots because of the antics, you know, putting the crown on after she scores and dancing and all of this other stuff. And it was something that I thought she was searching for a viral moment. But some of the things that ensued when she made the comments about that's not our president, right? And you know, Barack Obama is our president. She swiftly, and I said, let's see how long does it take for her to clean it up. And I'm telling you, within 24 hours, she had cleaned it up, because the PR people around her, right, you know, they weren't the PR people. It was somebody outside of her PR people that said, look, you're about to damage your brand in a way that you can never recover from it. So you need to clean this up. And she came back and cleaned it up. And you can see since then, she hasn't had as many episodes, and especially since that post-game interview at the NCAA tournament when she was whining about being sexualized and all of this other stuff, and death threats and all of those things. That's when it seems like she's started to steer away from that, because her endorsements depend on that, right? And it's a difference between doing hair care products and then doing State Farm insurance, or doing, you know, like a good neighbor. State Farm is that's different, right? Okay. So you got to have a certain image, but we all, and I'm gonna say this and let it ride, we all have this tendency as black individuals to always talk about, man, you know, I'm gonna be me. I ain't selling out or whatever. You do sell out because you wear a suit at draft night, right? You wear a suit, you look the part, you say the stuff because you want to get the check. Then as soon as you get the check, why do we have to come every day? Like Kyrie, love Kyrie, but why do we have to come every day? Why do we have to play every game? Why can't we coach ourselves? You weren't saying that when you were trying to get the money. It's only after you inked it do you start to feel like that. So yeah, that's a little history on the Angel Reese situation. But yeah, she wasn't even doing it towards Caitlin wasn't doing it towards anybody.
Wow. And it's amazing how a whole narrative was spun and these race hustlers come, because I feel like race is a real issue. Police brutality is a real issue. Systematic racism is a real issue. But what's happening is a lot of our people are crying wolf and using that race card when it's not merited, which is kind of watering down the real struggle and watering down the real issues, because we keep bringing up these issues when it's really not warranted. How do you feel about that, Shane?
I feel the internal battle is always playing out on TV for us. There's so many things that we are allocated to do, like function without even thinking about it. There are a lot of diseases of behavior and mannerisms that we carry on between each other, and only as we grow older, because sometimes we fail to pass down wisdom to each other. It's like everybody started from the bottom, now I'm here. Every generation does that, right? Nobody wants to learn from each other because everybody thinks, oh, I got it. And when you get older, you say to yourself, man, I didn't have it, because there's so many things I missed out on life, because the library, we are each other's libraries, was sitting right there. I could have read that book without having to read. I could have just had a conversation. And those conversations are not as held up as high as it used to be. Like Dorian said, there's a PR situation. Once you put on that cap and gown for that situation to graduate to, that money determines how you move, how you think, and how you feel. And behind closed doors is what your entourage is for. You got other people that vent, and or you take it out in the court. You put the chip on your shoulder in your mind, and you take it there. And you never divulge what your plan is until after you reach the mountaintop, or after you can put other people on.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna land my plane right there with that regard, because there's so many things we are fighting for. There's so many different bug holes that we try to plug. But I think it just starts with ourselves. And I give her some grace, because that worked for her all the way till she got here. So some people stick with the plan they got until they really hit a brick wall. But it takes many things for them to happen to realize it's time for growth.
Facts. Sean, it's on you, baby.
Well, what's interesting is you both made great points. And in reference to what I'm seeing, I'm not that much of a fan or follower of hers, but I am a follower of the movement and some of the scenarios. Me being in the entertainment industry for most of my life, you're right. A lot of the publicity direction is often brought to your attention when you get to a certain plateau. But I will give an example of where someone who didn't compromise their integrity and is now being praised for it because it changed the whole dynamic, which is Allen Iverson. And he went about it in a certain way to where a lot of people, he did take the flack, he did take the pressure of his uniqueness, but he didn't fold under that pressure. He did at one point, I do remember, then he basically understood his value. And that's really what we are lacking, is understanding our value and being able to allow our value to dictate where it is we can go and how it is we approach our journey. But to your point, Illa, decorum is something that is being decreased. And that decorum is something that we need to really highlight to some of these people who are putting themselves in valuable spaces, but not understanding the value that they are in those spaces.
Exactly. And it's crazy because when I seen the post on Instagram, I had commented on it, which I got to learn to stop doing, because I sometimes you just gotta let shit go, man. Like I'll be like, oh. But it's like, so I'm commenting on it because it's like the way she was acting is just crazy, and it just reminds me what I've been going through in this space lately. Like I was on a channel that shall remain nameless, and the women were just very disrespectful. And it's like they were so busy trying to talk about whose point was right and who point. And it's like, listen, we don't men agree to disagree with amongst each other all the time. You don't gotta agree with my points. You ain't gotta like what I'm saying. I just can't bring it to you in a disrespectful way. You can't bring it to me in a disrespectful way. And it's like when I see women in these places where debates and intellectual conversations happen, they're just very disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's not what this is about. Like if you're going to come into the realm of thought with the men and you want equality, you got to have the same accountability. Like you don't have to agree with us. It's not you could vehemently disagree with my points altogether, but that doesn't give you the right to disrespect me. And it's just crazy because when you see these posts, it's not the people that's on camera that makes me so mad, or the artist or the entertainer. It's the supporters. When you realize the people that support certain stuff, because that's the masses. These people are individuals. But when you read the comments, you see the hundreds and thousands of people who are rehashing and reposting and saying, I agree with you. That's what bothers me, because that's what we got to deal with out here. That's what you got to deal with when you're training the kids. That's what you got to deal with when you're going to get your car fixed. That's what you got to deal when you go to the supermarket. These people in the audience who don't have the discernment to see what's class and what's not. And I'm looking at the comments and how they're defending this woman. It's like, what are y'all talking about? Nothing that man said merited anything but a disagreement or pushback on his intellect or lack thereof, depending on the perspective. He did not deserve to be called what he was called. And to see people make so many excuses for her is disrespecting this man. It was very alarming. I mean, how do you fellas feel about that? And we're gonna play the clip too. We're gonna go through the clips and all that.
Let me say this, man. The question I'm gonna pose this question to everybody here. Why wouldn't they disrespect us? It's the question you got to ask yourself. If you think about how our sisters have been raised, or women in general have been raised, they know. Even if we started off in the sandbox and we're wrestling and tussling with a girl, and the teacher comes over and pulls both of us up and say, y'all stop this. They turn to the guy and they say, son, you don't hit a woman. You don't ever hit a woman. You don't put your hands on a woman. You respect her. And she might turn to the girl and say, keep your hands to yourself, because you can't beat him up. But then he turned back to the man and said, you think her punch really hurt you? And you can't, you shouldn't hit her. So over time, they sit back and they were like, well, shit, hold up. I can get away with some stuff, right? That I don't have any policing around that. I can always fall back on, I'm a woman, right? Right? When I hit you, we equal, but when you look to hit me back, wait, yo, I'm a woman. So the mentality is that. So why wouldn't they disrespect? Because there is no, and I hate, this word is so overused now, there is no accountability, right? So in reality, a lot of our women this is how they have been reared, right? Which is very, 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 very important. Now, the mentality, when you say it's the comments, you have to understand what social media represents, Ella. Social media is what psychologists have always called the mob rule, or the mob mentality. When you are in the midst of a mob, that's why people could laugh when black men were burned and lynched, because they do stuff in mobs that they wouldn't do. That's why chicks, do crazy stuff at Mardi Gras, because it's you're detached from reality. So the same thing happens with that keyboard. You can say whatever you want to say, whatever your emotions, you can vent that. But at the end of the day, like you said, Emmanuel Acho had a very good point. People are so bad at comprehension, didn't understand when he was saying big bad wolf. It was no issue with him saying big bad wolf, because that was supposed to be positive. But when he said the cowardly dog, for people to even insinuate he was calling her a dog and not using that as a polar analogy, it's an issue already. And if you got to explain that, that's not a discussion that's even worth having.
It's not even worth having. Let me shout out a couple people in the chat. Shout out to World Class. Shout out to Marcus Evans. Shout out to Elevated Mind Healer. Fellas, if you have your links, can you type them in the back chat, and I'm gonna send it to my moderators so they can post y'all links in the chat as well, so people can check out your information. Yeah, shout out to everybody that's in the chat. We got our first super chat. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, now keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep those super chats coming. You're muted. You're muted, Ella.
Hey, y'all got me now. Thank you for the super chat. Our first one. The brother said, oh my God, my computer is My computer is tripping out. Hold on, clicking on it. 18th letter said, hold on, what's going on? I gotta get a new computer. Donate your brother your new computer. He said, it's good to see critical thinking brothers speaking with logic and substance. There's so much degeneracy on YouTube. This is a breath of fresh air. Unfortunately, our people are more entertained by trash. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I'm trying to be the change. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying follow Illa anywhere. I just want to have intelligent conversations that don't insult y'all intelligence. You know what I mean? We're not going to be up here arguing. We might sharpen each other's blades with different perspectives, but I don't want any toxicity on my channel. I don't want to be arguing with another brother. I don't want to be arguing with another sister. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to agree with each other, but it still can leave the conversation with amicable, respectable energy. And that's what I want to push in space, because a lot of people, they come to the space, they just want to make some money. They just want to TMZ it up and just messy it up. And we have enough of that. You know, this what I don't understand about our people. We can't control what they put on the television. But if we got areas and we have places where we can control our narrative, why not push out one that's positive? We have control on YouTube. We don't have to put out we can put out whatever we want. So to see people with the ability to put out what they want and still choose to perpetuate the imagery and the scenarios that got us psychologically messed up, that's causing us to talk about our issues in the first place, it's just an oxymoron, and it's insulting to the people who watch it. It's like these people will tell you, oh, we messed up, we got issues in our community, but you putting out the same type of toxicity in your programming. So what are you talking about? Like, it's just crazy to me, man.
Well, can I touch on it a little?
Of course.
Dorian just says something that was very important. He said the mob mentality, which we can probably say is synonymous with peer pressure at times. There's there's different levels of it. But the point that you was just making that I want to say is that my mother told me once, you got to give them what they want so they could listen to what they need. And so if in fact toxicity, negativity is something that is appealing or attractive, because you also mentioned if they're educated, if they can't understand what he was saying and the difference between the two, well, I have a tendency to push back on that, because educators sometimes forget that everybody's not educated. And so it might go over their head. And just because it goes over their head, we then fall into this place of where we don't connect with the people who need our connection, because we're thinking it's going over their head. It's kind of like how in psychology, when you are talking with a child, you get a better response when you come down to the ground and speak with them and engage with them. When you're standing over them, they're feeling intimidated and they don't respond. So sometimes we have to, as educated people, we have to understand that we might have to go down to their level in order to gather their attention and then start building them up. And we have come from simplistic places, so we know how to speak simply, but sometimes our educations complicate things. And so I just try to advocate and share different perspectives that can help us connect, as opposed to dividing us, because we then are now divided when we put ourselves superior education wise or otherwise. And so now we're not connecting with those who can actually use connection and those who can actually use the information, as opposed to preaching to the choir when we're speaking amongst each other who understand each other. And we get frustrated because those who don't understand us ain't getting it, and we understand each other.
But here's the key to it. And I like that. I like that point. The problem, and to use an analogy, they have this little dating show right now, right? And the dating show, they pop the balloons on it, right? So there's this black girl. As soon as she saw the guy pop the balloon, and this is what she said. She said, "You just look aggressive. You look like you would accost me if we disagree." Something stupid. It was just dumb. And he was like, me? Like he said, me. She said, yeah, you, like, aggressively. And she was saying, like, if I disagree, it seemed like you would assault me or something that was like really disrespectful. And he said, No, sweetheart, that's not me. She said, see, that's what I'm talking about. You heard how he said, sweetheart? So even when you try to stoop down or sometimes go down to the level, you have to understand, I can stoop down and they go still hear it the same. And you got to know, if I stoop down, if they might want to hear it. But guess what? Where we decipher that, we distinguish that based on the comment. So if I put a comment in Illa, say, Illa, look, I disagree with this on these grounds, right? That I believe that Black men have a responsibility here, 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 and here, and I think Black women have the responsibility. Now, while I agree on your point here, blah, 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 I don't agree here. If Illa comes back and says, see, this is what these coon ass dudes do when they get on my comment. So now I realize there is no education to be had. I can't come, already came down to his level, right? Now it's no need to entertain it any further. Now, to your point though, with us speaking amongst us, if we can speak within hearing distance, listening distance, and people have a chance to hear a different conversation, then maybe they'll be sparked to come in and want to listen versus us trying to bring the conversation to them. So while I agree with you, it's still contextual. You know, when we stoop down, when we just say, man, bump it, we don't need to even have this conversation.
I love the fact that we're talking about psychology, because there's so many things. Like, for example, you're talking about social learning theory. Our social learning theory tells us this, and the majority of masses of people are going to act this way. So I would say, in my opinion, social learning theory is the internet life, and then there's the real life. The one thing we all know first is hood politics, right? We all come from a certain thing where it's spread out, where we understand street politics, even if you're not street, because it's in our music, it's in our books, it's in our movies, and we have a certain etiquette that we follow. We fail to subjugate our kids and our people to understand, like, for example, you don't know how smart you are because you have nothing to compare it to. So when Sean talks about speaking to educated people versus people that might need extra dedication to understand something, it hasn't been spread out. Like, chess kids go to chess class, swimmers go to swimmers class. We don't have those things relegated as much as a social learning theory as something normal. So social learning theory on the internet, when people come at you, there's no accountability. They never see you in person. So they say what they want to say. They be anybody they want to be. But in person, their social learning theory knows that within our culture, there's a certain accountability for running your mouth. There's a certain accountability for you standing there in front of somebody. So our social learning theory is teaching us so many things. And as far as Angel Reese and how her generation goes about their voice on the internet, there was something like that for yesteryear when it came to music and exploring ourselves in that way in terms of that culture. So there's so many things that, like I said, we have this reverse started from the bottom. Everybody wants to start from the bottom instead of elaborating further on wisdom. And that's our social learning theory issue. We have to understand that it's okay for us to separate, but then come together like a fist, because there's so many things we don't know about each other. Like, for example, if you could ask yourself, when did you know that you were intelligent? When did you know that you were elite in something? When did you know that, hey, I can have different conversations with young ladies further than the sandbox taught me, just to fear or step back? There's the situations of different communication. So our social learning theory really plays an impact to what Illa was saying, how we choose to go about when we have these platforms. Are we after the money? Are we after the knowledge? We know what comes with knowledge. It may not lead you any money. Most of our leaders growing up didn't have money from our perspective. They didn't have anything. They just had diligence. After they died, we loved them. So how are you going to be perceived on that piece?
I agree, and that's a great point. You said social learning theory, and the point that I was making, and you made valid points, and even 18th letter said there's a difference between being uneducated and being willfully ignorant. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely true, but it's up to us as educators to recognize that, as opposed to demonizing when in fact it looks like that. So here's the reason why I came up with this whole concept, is because in the entertainment industry, also being having education, I had to often be the liaison between the two. And so whereas they might want somebody who's popular to come to the school, but they was like, well, Ice Cube can't come to our school because he's a gangster. I might have had to be the person to explain to them, no, this is, and this is part of our problem. One of the issues I have with Ice Cube, for example, I like Ice Cube. I'm a fan of Ice Cube. Difference is Ice Cube doesn't separate Ice Cube from O'Shea. So he plays this character, Ice Cube. That's what I look at it as. He plays this character, Ice Cube, and never tells our community or our people who are looking up Ice Cube that that's just a character. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger played the Terminator, but he's still Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there's a difference. Rocky played Rambo, but he's still Sylvester Stallone. I said Rocky, but he's still Rocky.
We're gonna give you grace. What do you think?
Yeah, in our community, I think that there's separation. There's a problem with separating entertainment from reality. I think Dorian made that point, and it's up to us to try and find ways to get that across, including holding the Ice Cubes accountable and saying, yo, let them know that NWA was a marketing ploy for you to get into this industry and for you to go ahead and highlight some of the differences or some of the ways that people in our communities are living. But that's not how you was living.
I want to say this real quick. I agree with your point, and I just want to ask you a question. Like, for example, Haagen-Dazs doesn't change the ingredients because people enjoy it so much, and it's up to you to pull back on the ice cream that you eat, right? And with Ice Cube, Ice-T, any of these rappers, right? Do you believe that they just was saying to themselves, I'm gonna feed my family, and this is the way it's working for me? And at the same time, when you go higher in these levels of being around and being the 1%ers and making money and being successful, how much Black alliance do you really have to keep it real for us, for you to change everything? Is there a safety net for us to fall back on to keep it real on?
I would say yes. And it was displayed through Ice Cube, the example I'm using. When he broke up with NWA, he went straight to the Nation of Islam, and that was his safety. And he was pro Farrakhan, pro NOI, pro everything, Black activism, until he felt safe again. So yes, there are places that we can go, and there are existing alliances that we can contribute. But with those alliances also comes friction to those who you're trying to get money from. So, you know, it depends on what your goal is. And that's where I point out, when it's feeding your family, fine. But as you grow, your family grows. And so people who you now have access to feed will grow, whether they're personal, whether they're fans, whether they're a combination of the two. And it's up to you to determine how you distribute that food, or if you distribute that food.
So one more thing I was going to say. So I agree with you. I do not disagree with anything you said, but it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. When you decide to sign to get that money, you have to put on that suit and play that game. In the industry and entertainment and things that we live in, they allow certain things to go on because it pushes a certain narrative, which helps us help some of our characters make their money. If he didn't, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if he didn't make that transition to appeal to the narrative in order to finagle to still make money off our culture, you see some people today, we still make gangster music, we still make gangster movies, we still make gangster television, and quote unquote, it may not be the greatest thing for our culture right now, for our social learning theory, right? What do you feel about the people that stay within the pathways of what their narrative and agenda is from other powerful situations, so they can continue to make their money to feed their family? Because that's how they pivot, because they stay in that flow of, oh, they're allowing us to do this. And I hate to say allow, but till we get our things together, there's so many things we're not gonna be able to knock off power structures.
Well, you're right, and they did allow us, and that's why I'm a fan of Ice Cube, because he's brilliant on the way that he maneuvered in it. NWA to to transition into television and film, doing Boys in the Hood, transitioning into being a writer and producing, which is ownership of content, to Friday, then transitioning into creating to where Are We Home Yet? So he understood who and what he was dealing with. He understood that this image that he portrayed would not be feasible in Hollywood, but he also, because he had that image, was able to stand face to face with some of these people who are already intimidated by him, and he was able to easier go through it because now he's able to put their guards down because he's like, yo, hey, how are you? And they see that he has education and understanding. He's not ignorant. So he used the ignorance, and that's why I said give them what they want so they can listen to what they need. So he is a good example of what we're talking about. And even if we go further into his current ventures with the big three.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I'm not damning him. I'm not trying to damn him. I'm just really saying I understand. I just wish he would share some of these strategies with some of the people who are in positions to utilize them.
Well, it's funny that you said that because I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to rewind first, though, because I want to go back to what y'all was talking about when you and Dorian was talking about education and how, Sean, you were saying how everybody's not educated. But it's the problem because, remind you, we're talking about Amanda Seals and what she did. She claims a lot of these women, a lot of these people, they claim to be educated. So it's not like we're just talking about the average layman. We're talking about people who profess to be highly educated people, but can't understand the nuance between semantics, trying to make a point. So that's where it gets tricky because they're misrepresenting intelligence because she claims she was educated. She claims she went to school to Columbia and she got a degree in hip hop, which is hilarious to me. I didn't know you can get a degree in hip hop from Columbia, but hey, that's what she's claiming. That's her claim to fame, and that's what people say she gets education from. So it's like if you claim to be so educated on our culture, then why can't you intellectually just give pushback without calling this man out his name? Because how educated could you be to call a black man a corny ass nigga on another black man's show in front of the world because he had the nerve to hold a woman to the standards of athletics? So with that being, go ahead.
I'm gonna push back a little to something you do, and the pushback is I want to challenge you to stop saying she claims to be educated because she's not. She is educated. Now, here's the difference. Educated in context I'm using it is different from knowledge. So educated is exactly what they are. But that doesn't always mean, and this is why I have to share with the educators that just because you have an education don't make you more knowledgeable.
Yeah,
we know that though, Sean. And
let me say this though. Let me say this.
That's not what they push into the world.
Knowledge is not even, unfortunately, that's not the right word. Wisdom is beyond knowledge. Knowledge is education.
Correct.
But the wisdom to understand, and so. Well, I think what Illa's saying and what I'm saying is we don't you can't be quote unquote an expert, a guru, a thought leader if you don't have wisdom. You can't.
Thank you.
And so for me, Amanda Seals and Angela Rye and a lot of the other ones, I've just seen them pander because if you can get the topic on a emotive level, emotional level, you're going to win the audience, right? We believe in amen, and as a people, we love when somebody getting somebody told. I don't care about Candace Owens like that. But even in that Revolt Summit, when she was making good points, T.I. went to the role of, oh man, that he wanted to be the preacher during that moment when Killer Mike had to jump in and say, hold on, time out. She making some good points. Killer Mike had to jump in and say, yo, time out. We might not like her package or whatever, but you can't deny what she's saying is an absolute fact. That's when T.I. gave pause. But see, most people don't have the balls to do that, for lack of a better word. They don't have the balls to stand up and say that to somebody else.
Let's check out his initial statement. Go ahead, Sheem, and then I'm going to go to this clip. Go ahead.
Gentlemen, I want to say I'm appreciating this so much. I believe there's no gauge to let you know when wisdom is coming. I believe when people tell you they are intelligent, that is a lack of knowledge and wisdom and intelligence. And I think we're in our community, you don't know that you're the person with the wisdom. You don't know that you're the person who actually thinks 5 steps ahead until it's presented to you in life. And that's something we need to have in place. So when people go around telling you that, you have to take some pause.
Great point.
Exactly. Especially if you got a hip hop degree from Columbia University while telling a black man on television that he wants to appease to white people. I mean, it's just such an oxymoron. It's ridiculous. But let's get into these clips, man. Let's see what the brother said that was so egregious. Come on now.
I'm about to give a gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. Now, if you want to say, well, Acho, cater your take based upon gender, Acho, cater your take based upon race, I will understand that. But I'm about to give a gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. Angel Reese, you can't beat a big bad wolf, but then kind of cry like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Because if you want to act grown, which she has, if you want to get paid like you grown, which you are, if you want to talk to grown folks like you grown, which you did post-game when you told a coach for an opposing team, watch your mouth. If you want to tell people, get your money up, then post-game when you take an L, you just got to take it on the chin. Nobody mourns when the villain catches an L. And Angel Reese, you have self-proclaimed to be the villain. Shout out to you because you were the second best basketball player on the court, and it was not close. Outside Caitlin Clark, it was you. 17 and 20. Dog. Showed up. Biggest game, second biggest game of your career. Absolute dog. But I'm about to.
Now, he gave the girl credit, gave her some big brother advice. I think anybody in sports would have said the same thing, whether it was a male or female. How do you feel about what he said? Was it too much? Did he, what do you guys feel?
Y'all tag me in on this one. This my lane. Tag me in, right? So at the end of the day, right, Emmanuel Acho, I actually had a exchange with him when I went at him about a take, because I actually like him. I like how he's a professional. He handles himself like a professional. He's a Nigerian American too. He's not. If people know Nigerian Americans, they didn't come up under the same type of American lifestyle, right? So we're looking at him as a black man, but he's a Nigerian black man, right? He's not a black man that grew up in Mobile or Pritchard or wherever, that I grew up. So with that, he didn't say anything. Also, he qualified it, gender neutral, right? Race neutral. But the problem was that your feminist activists or activists who are disguised as feminists, Jamel Hill, people, of that nature, all of the women, Joy, Taylor, what's her name? Joy, not Taylor. Taylor Rooks. Joy Taylor and Taylor Rooks, right? They got this, and I'm telling you, they got some stuff that needs to really be addressed, right? But anyway, they were all coming at him. How can you can't not make this gender? It is. If you're saying there were death threats, I know about death threats. My dad attempted to integrate a technical school in Mobile, Alabama. He took 3 other guys. They sued the state of Alabama, and the state of Alabama didn't admit them. They just built a black school. That's just how bad they didn't want to integrate at the time. And it was death threats. It was bombs will blow up your house. He never once told my mom. I didn't learn about it until his funeral, right? When one of his friends got up there and spoke about it. But here's my problem. You got all of these people saying, you can't separate those things. You can have a take, but if you got death threats, why didn't we hear about it? Why didn't the FBI say they're looking into the threats? You never heard anything about it. No one says that I got death threats as a young person, and you don't hear anything else like LSU is investigating the death threats. LSU has put on extra security, right? Why didn't you get death threats when you were telling people the game before, get your money up? Yeah, get your money. It ain't my fault because Fly J why couldn't you say it then? Had you said it then, say, look, man, we got this victory, even though unfortunately I was receiving death threats. Now you're like, hold up. She really might be getting death threats, right? Sexualizing yourself. Have y'all ever seen her TikTok, her IG? Right?
Man, she did a mold of her vagina.
Man, on a wax, and like it's a lot of other stuff. So we can't. What he was saying was, if you want to be grown, which is what come on, our parents would tell us that you want to be grown. You know, some grown consequences to being grown, right? And so that's my take. I think, you know, Acho, I think he handled it with grace. I think everybody is always looking for the viral moment, because remember, if you can placate to a particular audience, you know you got far more people who are racially emotional. That if I can play the race card, even if it's like I'm trying to correct Emmanuel and tell him where he was faulty in his reasoning, it's gonna gain me more supporters in my demographic. But watch when Fox wants to bring that show on or buy that show, how they flip their tune and they do less of that, because it still boils down to money for most people.
Definitely. I want to play another clip real quick. Well, you know what? Let's go into the interview, and then we're going to swing. Unless you guys want to add some real quick, because I want to go into the interview, and I want to really chop that up. Anything that y'all want to add in before we go into the actual interview?
I think there's a secret level of ego in our women that is higher than what we know. And I think his approach was preferenced. I think he laid it out first, but he gender neutralized it and all these things. He preferenced all of it just to give her the compliment. And the fact that the ego is so high amongst a black man giving anyone correction is why he has so much vitriol behind his comments.
Whoa, that was a great.
He was being nice. 3 for 13 from the field, 17 and 20. She wasn't the second best player on the court that night. Bottom line, but that's another story from a hoop.
And that's what I'm saying. He still bailed it out, because one thing about this scenario with him is, and another thing I'm realizing, of course, we got these toxic women, but I'm tired of these soft shoe men that come and undergird their nonsense. Like Ryan Clark got on him. What's the guy's name? What's Hill? What's his Mark Lamont Hill? Yeah, they came behind her. This is the man who was talking to Candace Owens and told him that trans men can have periods.
Can have babies. Absolutely.
This man went to, and this man is an African American professor at Temple. That's why we got to redefine what we call educated now, because these people are coming from academia saying this bullshit. So let's just get into this interview, man.
I want to get into it, but I want to say one thing. That's the reason why I keep on emphasizing the education and academia, because it gives a false sense of validation. And we need to be able to identify the differences, because unfortunately we are taught that is the validation, and that is what we're supposed to listen to, and don't push back on that enough.
Exactly. Let's get into it.
For crying. Because for the longest time, you know,
she is a young person. Do you know how disgusting that is? And that cornball nigga who loves to make himself look like he's the white people's savior.
Who said that?
Emmanuel Acko.
Oh Lord have mercy.
Corny C-band.
Oh Lord have mercy, man.
Come talk to me, white people. I'm the black guy that's nice. Cut it out. It's ridiculous.
Man, I know these people, man. I'm gonna have to have.
Well, you're not saying it. I am. You're not saying it, and you don't. And I will let you off the hook. You don't need to respond. Don't feel like you need to defend them.
Now, Jesus Christ, that was totally uncalled for, what she said and what she did, and the fact that she had the nerve to make it seem like, because he has a show, he had a separate show where he called it uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
He talks to, white folks and different people from different backgrounds. Now, a lot of people feel like he doesn't go as hard. But what does that have to do with his sports take on Angel Reese and the fact that he did it respectfully? What does that have to do with that? And it's funny that she said something about white people and how she want to appease them. Now, we already know about the political climate in this country. We all know how racist Joe Biden has been way before the Trump situation. If you know anything about politics, Joe Biden was the go-to person for rewriting racist rhetoric when it comes to instilling policy. His niche was, you will bring your policies, your bills to him, and he would change the rhetoric so it wouldn't come off obviously racist. That was his skill set. So let's watch how she responded to the election of Joe Biden while she's calling this other man a so-called you know what. Let's watch how she reacted to his election.
I'm just so proud of us. I'm so proud of Black people. I was so scared. It's just like coming over me now, like the immensity of what's taking place, and then like it was like Philly and Milwaukee and Detroit. We have so many people to thank. We have so much work to do. But congratulations to all of us, like in a very like real way. I feel like we dispelled doom. You know, this is like, it's like we're cheering on Endor after they blew up the Death Star. Like, that's what this feels like. This is the Game of Thrones finale we were supposed to have.
You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're off now. You're off now. Yeah.
This woman was crying when Joe Biden was voted into office. This is the same woman who's calling this man a tap dancing guy. And she cried when this man got into office because it prevented doom and gloom. It's been doom and gloom ever since this man got into office. How intelligent are these people? Like, I'm tired of these pseudo activists who really don't respect our people and anything about it. It's like they're appealing to the brand of a certain brand of Black people. And it's really insulting. I don't think our people realize what she does, because what she does is she tries to appeal to the Black person who she thinks is urban, who she thinks is hood and hip hop. And she tried to speak boisterously to appeal to that, not realizing that that's a brand of Black people. That's not the face of all Black people. We come in different shades, different templates mentally, different perspectives. And she tried to talk to, for lack of a better word, she tried to speak to the nigga in you. And too many of our people fall for that and think that's some type of revolutionary activist type of movement, when we have a long sheet of what activism look like. Malcolm X was as revolutionary as it get. I never seen him talk like that.
I got an alternative perspective.
What you say?
I have an alternative perspective.
Ahead,
I think once you lack accountability and don't get held accountable for anything, and you now buy into ego. I think this is about ego, because no one's there to check anyone's ego. There's no accountability for ego. To think about it as a man, when you think with logic, right? There are accountability and things that goes on with your logic and your outcomes. But when you deal with a culture of people that have no accountability, they don't have to think with logic. They only have feelings. They buy into their ego, because their ego can never be checked, because no matter what someone does in a certain culture, sometimes women band together, they always find an excuse for them and say it's okay. This is what she was feeling at the time. This is how it is, how she's moving at the time. This lady sat on this platform and said she was diagnosed with something mentally. She preferenced everything before she went into her psychological spill and vomit of words. So the ego of her to go there is what the problem is. Think about it, y'all. Think about today's woman's ego.
It's crazy.
Wow. You know what's interesting? I separated purposely ego and pride. I put ego on men and I put pride in women, because we both have them both. But just to give the distinction, because they're rooted in the same place. And your point is well taken, because that is what's rooted. And in our communities, that is a deficit in what we're challenged against. And it's not just the woman's pride or the man's ego, it's both. And so when we separate it, because the way the perspective I have is that she's not unintelligent. She's just a very passionate and emotional person, and she's passionate about what she feels. And what she feels sometimes is what we need to address, because what she feels versus what actually is a better conversation at times, because she's going in her feelings and cursing and passionately. She also is an entertainer, just so that we know, and she understands that that is going to be a entertaining scenario on this, the Shay platform. She saw what Cat Williams did, so she is.
Man, I was just bro. We ain't. Let me tell you, I'm starting to question our intellect on this panel right now, because at the end of the day, everybody trying to get lightning to strike twice, like Cat Williams. They're getting on Shay Shay, trying to put on a show,
right,
for people to follow them and hoping it's gonna get however many views. I don't know how many. Cat had some astronomical numbers, right?
Right.
You know, it's just.
And the funny thing is, to me, because I'm in the entertainment industry, I'm sitting there like looking at the brilliance in it. Because guess what? We're sitting here talking about her right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
she is actually executing her plan the same way Kat did, except to your point, Illa, she sometimes allows her emotions to get the better of her, as where the strategy that Kat was using, he never let his emotions get in the way of what it is. He said what he said. He stood on what he said. It was almost like he was rehearsed in what he was saying. She got triggered while they were having a conversation and went off the grain.
And this is the thing with Kat, though. Kat was coming to the defense of where he felt like he had to defend himself against other people.
Yeah.
This woman was coming to the defense of a woman who she perceived as being attacked that never was. The man didn't disrespect her. He didn't call her out her name. He even gave us the love in his analysis of her, and that still was disregarded by her blatant disrespect. But let's keep watching, because it's some things that I want to show about Shannon and how he responded to her. And it's funny that she's now dissing Shannon. That's crazy. So let's watch.
Yep.
No.
But baby, you can't.
I'll let you have your space. This is your safe space to say your piece.
Can I have a hug?
No, you wouldn't give me no hug. I try to get a down.
I have to get to a hug, and now I'm there.
Now, did y'all peep what I peeped? Did you peep what I peeped? You see, with women like this, he said, "I tried to give you a hug when I met you." She said, "No, you got to earn it." See, these women, she didn't want to give him a hug until he acquiesced to her mentality. Once he acquiesced and said, "Yeah, Astro was wrong," she didn't know where he stood. Once she seen that he stood with the sisterhood, now he's eligible for affection. It's like they got to put you through this litmus test first before they can give you their affection. Because why you ain't give him a hug when he invited you on his goddamn show? He had to agree with you when it come to outro. Now he can get your affection. How y'all feel about that? Did y'all peep that?
Yeah, that's a very good point that I didn't peep until you brought it to our attention. But again, all this reflecting to me is that she's a hurt, unhealed woman who unfortunately doesn't know how to always control her emotions when in fact she's triggered, but she don't even recognize that she's being triggered. At least it seems the way she reacting, that she doesn't have any decorum, any self-control of her emotions. And to me, that's what I fight or I advocate for most of the time, is controlling your emotions instead of letting your emotions control you. And this is a classic example of her emotions controlling her.
And it's like these women, they like I'm looking at the type of guy she's been attacking lately. She attacked Emmanuel, and I don't know if you guys are familiar. She attacked Myron Rolle. Now this man was an all-American Florida State safety. Because I'm a Florida State scholar. Exactly, he is all-American. He got drafted. He also became a Rhodes Scholar. Look that up. To the chat that's watching, I need y'all to look up Rhodes Scholar and see how prestigious that is. This man was a Rhodes Scholar and a neurosurgeon. She went out her way to say that he sexually assaulted people, not because she knows, it's because some girls told her that. So it seems like she has. I'm trying to make the point of how she's an example of a bigger demographic of women in society. They always go out their way to undermine the intelligent brother, not the dude in the street, not the dude in and out of jail. They're always trying to undermine the guy that has some intelligence, that speaks well, that's not necessarily the hip hop image. And I'm from that, and I love hip hop. I'm not going to act like that's the face of all black man. That's one of our faces. We have many faces. So it just seems so ironic that the same man that they always say is not in the community, that leaves us. Look, this is why. Because I'm pretty sure, man, like cats like him, they might have a white girlfriend or something. But this is why. They can't even have an intellectual discourse without being disrespected and call out their names, just like I was on a show a couple weeks ago. Like these women, these are the women that they're getting their instructions from. These are the ones they're thinking are speaking on behalf of the women that are leading the charge in women's rights. It's like these women are false prophets and horrible examples of activism and some type of co-ed conversations. How you feel about that?
But see, I think it lends to the notion that our women are hypocrites at times, right? Because the mantra has always been, the chant, the rallying cry was believe women. That's a rallying cry, believe women. Not believe facts, not believe DNA, not believe evidence, believe women. Until they have a black son and they tell them don't go off to school and let no white girls set y'all up and go in the room because they're allowing you. Now I gotta figure this out. So it's only believe black women, or is it believe all women, or is believe women that believe they women? What is it really? Because that's hypocrisy, right?
Big time.
I believe the recipe is the recipe. What I mean by that is so many people buy into a narrative that works for them. If it's seasoned right and it works, that's how it's going to go. You guys mentioned Cat Williams. One thing distinct about Cat Williams, there's a God's gift that he falls back on after the interview, after he dissipates back out of internet space. He doesn't have any social media accounts or anything. For her, this is her recipe. She has to act a certain way to be entertaining and beguiling and facetious in order for her to stand out. If you follow anything about her, if you do the knowledge and the due diligence, she's very upset about hosting BET and then BET never inviting her back. She's very upset about being on the Insecure show and not getting a recasting. And just those two instances, you start to see that she's the common denominator. And I think she is aware of her recipe that sooner or later, no matter where she goes, she will offend someone and have to start over again. It's like a person who borrows money from everyone around them. Sooner or later, everybody's going to start saying, nah, dog, I can't give you no money this time. You're going to run out of people to ask in your circumference. And that's where most people hang their hat on something that's successful. They stick to the recipe because they're scared to learn anything else.
And then I guess, she's going to end up being on the Monique World Tour, where everybody's done dissed her, everybody's done her wrong, everybody has left her out to dry. And I'm gonna look, since Sean gave me the first pushback, I'm gonna give him one more about Cat. Cat is emotional too. Cat is just manipulative with his words. He's very, very cunning. So I didn't like how he was dissing other black men who he felt didn't get there based on their work ethic. They got there based on some funny business. When many of them say, well, no, Cat, you could have got here, but it was other things you were doing that hurt your opportunity. He does this, and guess what he does? He does the old black one. Well, you know what? I got God on my side. So, okay, now I can't go against you. God on your side, right? But I know Steve Harvey said God on his side too. So I can't figure out which side God on.
Well, you got to listen to it, and I'm gonna push back on that. And I'm not a fan of either. But
hold that thought, Sean. I gotta shout out the super chats. The people showing love. It's that time again. Thank y'all.
You muted.
Oh my God. Y'all hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, you good.
Thank you for the super chats, fellas. We got 18th Letter, who is the sponsor of the show. He sent another super chat. He said, knowledge can be used to manipulate certain people that are more knowledgeable. Hold up. Knowledge can be used to manipulate, and certain people that are more knowledgeable can be evil and create narratives purposely to mislead people. Exactly. L. Nix had a super chat as well. He said, I'm out, but I'm listening. Good evening, fellas. Let's go. Appreciate you, brother. And one more super chat by the 18th Letter. He said, the sisterhood wants power and control over black men. Most definitely. Go ahead, Sean. Go with.
Well, I'll first start with the last comment before I go back to what what I was talking about with Dorian. That last comment is the sisterhood is against black, and they have advocates of the men who are not of black descent. That's one thing, and we that's a lot deeper. But the point that I was going to make is I'm not basing Cat Williams, and this is sometimes what we have a tendency to do: base Cat Williams or base somebody and not really do full research. I'm going on the consistency of what Steve said versus what Cat has always said, and or Kevin. Steve has been consistently and has said on numerous occasions, lie the way through it. Oh, just lie it, lie. And he said this. So I'm not going on. Whereas Cat said, tell the truth. So if I'm going to ask whose side God is on, if I'm a believer of God and God is the truth in any religion, then I got to lean more towards Cat because of his consistency, whether you like it or not, has always reflected the same position. And so has Steve. The difference of the position is that one compromises his integrity to get whatever he wants, and the other one says, well, I'm not doing that. Whether you like me or not, I'm gonna let my talent navigate me through these waters. Whether or not you like me, I don't care. Whether or not I make it to where you think I should make it, I don't care. As long as I'm I can live with myself. So there's a difference between the two, and that's the only thing that I can say in reference if I'm going to compare.
Yeah, and so my only thing with Cat, I think Cat's entertaining. I think Cat's funny. I think he's one of the funniest comedians that's been out. Now his last couple of shows were trash, but he's good. My thing, Sean, again is saying that every time it's truth and it's the truth. It's partial truth. So partial truth is still a lie. It's a lie by omission. So when you try to connect the two, when you say, what's my man's name from Alabama, my boy, Ricky Smiley. Ricky Smiley, did you notice I put in my contract that he has to be in a dress if he's in a movie with me? And then everybody in the thread like, he was in the movie, the church movie, and he wore a dress. That's a character that Ricky has had for years. So are you telling me that he had that much power to say, yeah, if y'all want Ricky in here, he's going to have to be in a dress? But he insinuated that, which no proof, no receipts. He's just saying it, and people believe the receipt is the fact that he was in the movie with a dress.
But that's
the brilliance of it.
That's one of the brilliance, and who's to say he's not telling the truth?
Yeah, but you got to present. He keeps saying he got receipts. You got to present.
And nobody asked him to present them. And so the point being is that we assume on whoever side we're on that they're correct. Now, and to answer the question, knowing the entertainment industry, yes, you can have that much power, especially if you understand the power how powerful you are. And so, yes, he could have stipulated that in his contract. And yes, because it's Ricky Smiley already going to be in the dress anyway, it makes it all good for business. They don't care that Cat Williams said, I need him in a dress, because that's what they was going to ask him to be in anyway. So the real manipulator of it all are the people who are making the movie, who are producing the movie, who hiring them both and getting what they want out of both of them, and not really caring about either the causes, positions, or anything else. They're like, yo, all right, that's what you want, Cat? Because they want Cat. I'll give that to you. And Ricky they ain't gonna tell Ricky that. Because why would they? They're just gonna say, Ricky, can you do that character you always do? And Ricky gonna be like, yeah. That basically manipulation ain't either of them. It's above them, and we gotta understand that in order to really start. If we're trying to conquer or we're trying to combat some of the issues that separate and divide us.
Yeah, and
that 4-3-40 killed everything else he said after that.
Hey, but you got to understand what's the common denominator with Cat. Like, these guys are both pieces on the chessboard. They were pawns and bishops in that game, just like Sean said. But the common denominator with a Cat, what you hear about him, let's say the best phrase, what you hear about him off the court, right? What you hear about Cat is that he's a philanthropist. He gives people money. He looks out for new comedians. He studies and knows every comedian. That was a real take. When you hear about certain people like this young lady here, you hear off the court, just keep that quote going, that she's a terrible human being as a regular person, not even as an entertainer. So all of that, when you look at entertainment, Sean, you understand this part. When you look at entertainment, what you emulate in your light is a certain frequency that you give off. And at the same time, you get that back from your fans and you get it back from your core fans, where you attract a certain toxicity. And at the same time, that might be your base, but eventually that's not going to stand in troubled waters.
Exactly. Everybody that's watching on Facebook and Instagram, if you want to join, you can join on YouTube. Try to share with 3 or 4 people. I appreciate you guys watching. We're having a great discussion. As you can see, it's positive vibes. We can agree to disagree. You know, support real content. You know what I'm saying? Y'all always talk about what's going on in the world. We got the YouTube and these platforms gives us the ability to show what we support and show what we like. You don't have to watch nonsense. You don't have to support nonsense. The choice is on you. So when we see certain pages grow more than others, it's because of the people. We can help each other. We can grow good content, quality conversations. We don't have to be up here arguing and tearing each other down just because we disagree. But let's get back into this foolish woman's commentary.
You
have a hug?
Yes, you can have a hug. Thank you. Yeah. Dang, that was quick. I feel good.
I bet you do.
I feel good.
Good.
You hosted the BET Awards in 2020
In my house.
and ain't been back.
Shanny, let me tell you, can't nobody say you don't put it together. That's why you were so successful on the field.
Why ain't nobody told you why you ain't been, but you can't host no more? You can't.
Well, the internet told me that I haven't been back because I'm not likable. Baby, I hosted the award in my house.
Yes.
I'm not saying that lightly. COVID was happening, and the stylists, their assistant tested positive, ended up being a false positive, but it tested positive. And 2 days before, I had to host the BET Awards in my house.
Wow.
I find this out. Now, at the time, somebody I had been seeing on and off, we were going to try to see if we get along again.
So you gonna let him come? He was gonna stay for an extended period of time because COVID.
So he was coming to the house.
Okay.
And we're literally sitting next to each other when I get this call from Jesse Collins. Shout out to Jesse Collins and Dion Harmon. These are 2 people that are 2 of the most beautiful human beings on the earth. And Jesse Collins helped break the code for me about me. Jesse Collins, without calling me autistic, knew I was before I knew I was. And he literally told the staff, this is how Amanda works. She needs information. That's what she needs.
Lots of it.
She just needs the information. And once she has the information, she's fine.
Right.
So let's just give her that. It doesn't take anything away from us. But some people feel like giving information is like some power struggle type shit.
Right.
But he tells me this, Shannon. So this man, Bodie James, is at my house. And he's like, I don't do physical labor. I'm like, Lord, child. So I get him a check. I get him a check to do the show, to put this thing together. One thing I'll never take from that man is he did hook up them wires. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I can't have a stylist, a hairstylist, or a makeup artist here. So I end up having to do my own makeup with my makeup artist on my phone, my hair with my hairstylist on, like they're all on FaceTime telling me what to do. I did 13 costume changes in my house while this man sat in my backyard on FaceTime telling people, yeah, I saved the BET Awards. And I got him a credit because that's the type of nigga I am. I got him a credit and I got him his check. Now, let me stop. But you see how I'm protecting people that don't protect me?
Yeah.
You see how I was about to do that? Because he's the type of person that would take things to another level. He tried to extort me once.
This lady is a trip, man. Like,
Illa,
You gotta listen to what she's saying.
Illa, the same thing I just said to you. You just called this woman foolish, and now you're calling her a trip, and that divides us. It don't matter. It divides us, and this and we're feeding the same thing that we're advocating against. Is the point that I'm making. Cause what happened to me, I do see a hurt woman who does attack men because that's who probably hurt her. The second thing in this clip just now, I see, and she's admitted, she's a woman with autism. And so with that being said, there's certain things that come with that diagnosis, and she shared what comes with it, and she also gave props to somebody who might not have been, again, being in the entertainment industry, you understand the nuances that she speaks of. So when I hear it, I don't go automatically to her quirkiness or her, I don't identify the things I disagree with. I try to identify the things I can agree with. And that's all I'm sharing with you is let's really focus on our similarities instead of our differences, because once we start highlighting our differences, especially in public forums, we then become the same person that we're fighting against. And
now I'm sorry. Okay, I respect it, but I gotta respect your disagree because like the word said, you judge a tree by the fruit it bears. Now, if I let you in my home and the first time you take something, you say, "Oh no, I thought you gave it to me." That's like, all right. The second time you take something, you like, "Oh, I thought you was throwing out." It's like, oh, all right. The third time you take something, I'm gonna call you a thief. So this woman has a rap sheet to me that shows that she's foolish to me because she made claims on men and try to jeopardize their lives. That's a foolish act. So I'm not saying she's stupid. I ain't call it a B word, but she's on TV calling people niggas because they disagree with her. She's trying to get people ostracized out of their own fields of work because she heard they got raped. So
see how you put all that. But see how you made all of that extra narrative and intention.
She did that, Sean. That's what she did.
Wait. I didn't say she didn't say any of those things. I said, was her intention to have them lose their job? Was her intention to? I mean,
I think so. I mean,
Sean, the only other reason she would bring that apparent is to gain favor, and she understands the ramifications of any of these level of when you levy these types of accusations. You're not thinking people are just going to be like, "Oh, I just wanted to share who he really is." No, she wants some level of cancellation because that's some kind of power, obviously some ego level or pride, in which you use some pride level of getting people to back her. The thing that I want to, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let y'all talk. Tell me when a victim ain't been on Shannon Sharp. Man, we can't find nobody that can say, "Bro, I'm the reason I'm in my position. I'm the reason they ain't bring me back at BET because of my attitude." And this is a cautionary tale. Monique, victim. Cat Williams, victim. Shit, to be honest with you, y'all don't like Steve, but Steve was one of the few that wasn't no victim on there. He just talked about what he did, wasn't no victim.
It's not. I just want to say this. It's not that I don't like Steve. Steve is just full of it.
They can't be. They all are.
No, and this
No,
is
they're
where,
not.
and this is
That's a
why,
fact. I
and
think
this
a lot
is
of them
why,
are too.
and this is why I say study the whole thing, because that's like saying you're in the sports industry, right? That's like saying there are no refs who are making calls for other purposes than the game. That is just, I could say, you could sit there and argue me down for that because you know more about it and you've seen it done. I've seen everything these people who are quote unquote victims happen. I've seen it done. It's not something that's out of line for me. I've seen it. I've seen people actually do it purposely, and I've seen people who are just hurt by it and then share it with. If you got shot, right? And the person who shot you is out there saying, I ain't shooting. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't even see no bullet. Show me a bullet wound. And you know you got shot. You know that person shot you.
Gotcha.
You're gonna sit there and say that you should be quiet.
No. But I like that point. But let's make it truly analogous, though.
That's kind of how I see it. Is she's not sitting there trying to say kill all everybody, but she's like, yo, I got shot. The man that shot me, y'all sitting there praising. Y'all sitting there because he got money and accolades and all this. Y'all sitting there praising this man who shot me, saying that I'm crazy because I ain't got shot. And now I'm angry and I'm lashing out at all men.
Hold on. Let's be clear now.
See, you creating, Sean. Now this you creating the narrative.
We talk about Amanda Seals.
I am exaggerating. I will.
But you remember you
Because
just said Ella was creating
that's
that.
not true, Sean. She accused of this the thing though, Sean. That's why we got to call women like this out. Because these women call out men with no evidence. We're calling her out with evidence of what she did. She literally called out not just any brother. They don't call out the Futures. They don't call out these same women be having, no offense to Young Thug, no offense to no Young Thug fans, but his music has never shifted the culture forward. It's just entertainment. I've seen women say free Thug, free Young Thug, but they, as if he's somebody. But you want to go out your way to try to undermine a man who's a Rhodes Scholar, a neurosurgeon, and an all-American athlete because you heard he touched somebody? Like, that's crazy. Like,
the only pushback,
she's giving us evidence of why we calling her what she. We're not making it up. She's giving us all the data that we reaching for. She's giving it to us. And my main point of the show is she comes under the guise of activism. We know what activism looks like. Activism is something that includes males and female, black women, black men, black boys, and black girls. These women come under the guise of activism, but they're really just stone cold feminists. And for example, let's watch this clip. Listen to what she says very carefully. Listen to what she says.
Okay, honestly, I've had enough. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Really? 3 pieces. 3 from 3 people I have never met in my life, from 3 publications that are supposed to be about uplifting black people, which is all I have dedicated my life to doing. Shit.
Now pause. She said, I've dedicated my life to uplifting black people. That's male, female, boy, and girl. That's what she said, right? Let's keep listening.
What hubris do I have? You people literally cannot stand that someone has studied and is speaking on what they studied, that someone has read and is speaking on what they read. You can't stand that someone loves us, that someone loves us so much that their passion is so exemplary and is exuding.
Pause, one more pause. She says she studied and read. This woman went to Columbia University to get a degree in hip hop. I'm from New Jersey. You don't go to Columbia University and learn about no goddamn hip hop. You learn that shit from the streets. You learn that shit from the culture. There's no white university that can give me a degree in hip hop. Let's cut the bullshit, man. Let's keep listening to what this lady got to say. How you get a degree in hip hop from Columbia University? Get the hell out of here, man.
Through the phone, that it touches people who literally have never felt love that much and they don't know how to process it. That's what you're feeling. I want to send all the love to everyone who has shown me love. But you people who are continuing to attempt to break me down, you will not break me. You cannot break me. I am loved. I am anointed. I am touched. I am working through the blood of our ancestors. You will not break me. And it is so sad that you are so broken that this is the effort that you would take to try and get some clout. And you know what? Let's say I did get broken. Y'all will be the first ones to be like, see, y'all be doing too much. No, big up to all my strong black women who are supporting other strong black women and every.
There it goes. There it goes. That's her bottom line. Strong black women. They come through the door of activism. They come through the door of We Are the World. Their bottom line is to rep for the loud mouth, educated, you ain't going to tell me nothing sisters. That's what she represents. She's a clown. She's a fraud. And we know what real activism looks like. This is not it.
Okay, let me say this, Sean. Let me just wait. Sean, I'm gonna give you a little pushback because I don't think it's pushback. I just think it's my opinion. This is my opinion. I think she comes underneath the guise of good intentions, but good intentions of lacking wisdom and knowledge is a nuclear bomb for waste. Her good intentions is what she thinks the outcome is going to be. Going off feelings is been a detriment to our society. It's been a detriment to people. Besides her stand-up comedy and her roles in TV shows, we don't know exactly what she's done for the black community. I'm sure in her nucleus inside her world, she has been a great asset to young black girls coming up and to young men somewhere. Like all of us put in that community service that will never be spoken and heard of. Everyone does it, whether it's negative or positive. When going back to social learning theory, you are adding to the culture some kind of way. But I think when you said her intentions, I think if she comes in these underneath the guise of good intentions, without wisdom and knowledge and understanding, is very toxic. Very toxic.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Young women.
To both of your points, Illa and Sheem, I agree. I'm not advocating or for her or against. It's just that I'm not, for example, I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not anti-Biden. I'm anti getting into the policies that they might speak on and what I agree with from there, what they're supposed to do under their jobs. But the problem is what I'm trying to say is that we always, we have a tendency to jump on one or the other, and that just lends to not being able to hold anybody accountable because you start playing on a team. And
okay,
go ahead.
And
Go ahead.
I will say this.
Hold on, let me get this, Dorian. Let me say one thing. When do we sustain? Right? For example, we can all relate to this. We all ate ramen noodles. It was good at the time. We didn't know about all the sodium, but then when you got more knowledge and understanding, you had to sustain. You had to leave it alone. When you start getting this itemization of people and you see what's good for you and bad for you, you can look at the good all you want, but there's sometimes you have to sustain and actually adjudicate everything away from that relationship in order to grow and be better.
I agree with everything other than adjudicating everything, because there still might that's like I gave an example the other day in one of my conversations. I believe all people are fish. Let's just use this example, which is made up of meat and bones. And that old adage that they say, chew the meat and spit out the bones. What happens is a lot of times we chew on a bone and we start getting choked up on a bone, and then we don't want to have anything to do with the fish. But the fish still has meat. The meat still can provide substance. So I agree with you in reference to when do we stop? But the point is, stopping everything simply because there's a bone, or stopping eating just because there's a bone.
But the hypocrisy is the hypocrisy.
We found this one thing to eat the meat and spit out the bones, but it's nothing. You found out this shit ain't even meat. Like this shit ain't even meat. Serving. Like I just said, hold on, just hear me out. Like there's some meat in what Cat Williams had to say. There's no meat in this woman. Like it's all fake. She co-signed the jab. She co-signed Biden. Yep. She's a fake pseudo activist who's really here to keep pushing the agenda under the guise.
No different than Fauci. They're all.
Let me ask each of y'all this question.
Burgers, bro.
Let me ask each of y'all this question. Have you studied this woman to make these claims?
Yes.
Or are you just going on? Wait. Or are you just going on the headlines that you are aware of? Have you ever went into her personal life? You said there's nothing it was said just now that there's nothing she's done. How do we sit there and say that if we haven't done the research to find out if she's done anything?
No, I get what you're saying, Sean. Y'all hear me out. I get what you're saying in terms of we're always trying to. Everything is good and evil. That's the oxymoronic nature of this life. Everything is good and evil, young and old, smart and dumb, right? Everything, all of us, right? And my issue with her is it's the victim, her becoming a victim at the drop of a dime, her forcefulness and antagonistic rhetoric. Nothing she says comes from a place of love or peace. It comes from a place of antagonism. All she wants to do is antagonize and be the show. It's a very and I hate this word because this is all the narcissism. That is more clinical narcissism, because clinical narcissism is extremely rare. But she exudes narcissism. It's about her. It's about her opinion. It's about her view. So when you made the analogy about I've been shot, and I've been telling people I've been shot. You did get shot, but you had pulled out a gun before he rat-a-tat-tatted. You pulled out the gun first. Now that's never mentioned. So at the end of the day, she's doing some stuff that's eliciting the response that is being, being done to her. So at the end of the day, we got to be aware of that. We can't just say she's telling the truth about being shot. Well, if she ain't say she slapped him or pulled out the gun, she ain't telling the truth. She's telling a partial truth, which is a lie.
And Dorian, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. And I'm not disputing. Look, again, I'm not defending Amanda Seales. I'm actually challenging how we tend to jump on a bandwagon that we say we don't like jumping on. And
This
we don't
ain't new. I just ain't never liked
Let me answer
Amanda
your question,
Seales.
Sean.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me answer your question. So on a basic level, she feeds families. On a basic level, she is able to put it together and find what her spirited God power is to actually be an entertainer in front of the world. We know she's a stand-up comedian. I watched her stand-up comedian, and yes, I've done research. I love her stand-up show that she did years ago, her 30-minute special. How black am I gonna have to get? I am a fan of this young lady. But to see the vitriol and how things come out when your outcomes don't weigh what your options were and everything in totality, people respond a different way. And with someone like her, on a basic level, to answer your question, yes, she's important because whoever her team is, whoever the people she has around her, she is feeding families, and we need that in our community. But what you do with your God power and your outcome plays out when you get to your 40s. Everybody knows, if you watch, if you have wisdom and knowledge from other people, when you get to your 35, 40, 45 years old, what we don't talk about is the culmination of everything you studied and done, whether you put in the time or not, will hit you like a ton of bricks.
And this another thing. This is another thing. If she was just coming as a comedian or actress, I would even hold it to the same standard. I'm holding her to the standards of what she said out her mouth. She said, I'm an activist and an advocate for black people, but she's not. She's an advocate for black women. She's always finding an issue with a black man. And when she finds the issue with a black man, she makes it very clear that she has disdain for him. It's not an intellectual pushback. It's these bitch ass niggas, get this corny ass nigga out of here. And speaking of which, I don't know who this, I know who this person is, but this woman just came into the chat saying, hey, nerds. Who is the nerd? See, this is what I'm talking about. Because we ain't up here cursing each other out, because we ain't up here talking about what Puffy did, because we ain't up here talking about some bullshit, we gotta be nerds. But this is what black women do. They try to diminish anytime we try to have high-level intellectual conversations, and black men do this shit too. We categorize intelligence as nerds, and that's why we have so much clashes in our community now. That's why the ones who end up getting in a place of prominence, becoming the CEO, he don't want to marry your ass, and he don't want to hang with your brother, because y'all keep confusing intelligence with being a nerd or being a geek. I don't have. You can wear Sean Clint eyes and a collar shirt and still know how to beat somebody the hell up. Walking a certain way and having tattoos don't mean you know how to fight. You can learn how to fight right after you take violin classes. See, it's just this stupid ass ignorant shit I be talking about. Like,
but don't feed into it, Ella, because like I said, there's no gauge on wisdom. We don't have anything in our community to show you that you're the smart kid. When you're in the spelling bee class, when you're growing up, you're just spelling words and you're telling the other person, you don't know how to spell restaurant, right? Grown adults still don't know how to spell restaurant. I might fail right now. What I'm saying is just there's no gauge of wisdom and knowledge. So when people see that on a communication level, they might not be on the same tier, they can only judge and make fun of what they don't understand.
Stupid, but then when these stupid niggas that they try to put on the pedestal knock them upside the head, oh, black men ain't shit. No, you only want to deal with. See, that's the thing. They only want to deal with the results of intelligence. They only want to deal with the resources that intelligence provides. When intelligence can create an opportunity for them economically, when intelligence can fix their car, but we can't be intelligent in just conversation and just amongst ourselves. We got to be this crazy fake example of bravado. It's like Michael B. Jordan. He was on the red carpet, like I think last year, right? And he was being interviewed by a lady. And he's from Newark. Shout out to my hometown, Newark, New Jersey. Michael B. Jordan had a chick that used to go to school with him come up to him and interview. He like, oh, I remember you. I was the corny kid. She like, oh no, I didn't say that. He like, oh no, that's what you said. But what's up? See, that's the cycle our shit's gonna keep being put on, because you can't recognize intelligence, because you've been socially engineered to think that Pookie or the nigga on the corner, and I've been on the corner too. Shout out to my brothers in the hood, but you cannot put all black men into one category of masculinity, bravado. That's the ignorance that black men and black women doing. But for her to come in here and say, shout out to the nerds, like take that bullshit to you can't sit.
I challenge you on this. I challenge you on this, Ella. Tell me the representation that we have now, right? For us, right? What represents these four men on this panel that you see in entertainment today? Like, for example, we all just met. Ella, I know you, but financially successful wise, where you live, how you live in your life, we don't know these things, right? Where does that representation come into play? I will give you an example. I live in Dubai. I'm in Dubai right now. This is my lifestyle. You wouldn't know that unless I told you, right? But there's no representation for a
You
man
heard
like
him
me.
say Dubai, nerd that. Fuck you talking about? Excuse me. Go ahead.
There's no representation for a man like me who lives his life internationally, who travels to different countries constantly. There's no black male American representation. The last representation we had was 80, 90 sitcoms. Those things went away. And when they bring back our sitcoms today, they make it social learning theory. They make it hoodified. So those type of things, where's our representation? We used to have a balance in hip hop. We know that, right? Back in the day, we had a balance. There's no balance now. There's no Dorian, there's no Sean, there's no Illa. Tell me where these gentlemen are. We know y'all exist, but we ignore it. When you go to every neighborhood, somebody training in boxing, basketball, the guy going to talk to the kids in schools, trying to tell them about the music business and not just the music. It's different in life, and our representation is not there because we fit amongst the crowd. Where's Waldo? It's a bunch of black guys. We could wear do-rags, hoodies, all of that, but there's no way to distinctify which one of us is that guy on purpose because we're taught not to share our wealth and knowledge in a light because you know what? There's an opposing force that comes for us.
And we
Great point.
You gotta realize we still in high school. The same social dynamics in school, we're dealing with the same shit right now. It ain't changed. We just grow up to it. And one thing I don't like about the inner city, when homeboy comes out of jail, hold up. We got some big dogs in the building. I gotta shout out my man. Shout out to the crew season. I need y'all up here. For kicking it with the crew. I know you hear me, Trill. I know you hear me. What's my man? OT. I'm tripping. What's my man name? I can't forget the name live right now. What's my boy name? It's OT, it's Trill. Somebody help me out. I'm forgetting my man name. Yeah, I forgot the other brother's name, but that's my boy. Damn. Shout out to crew season. I need y'all up here kicking it with the crew. And I definitely need y'all up here. He said, facts, so many of us crash out trying to be somebody women want when most women don't know what they want, especially young women, fellas, be you. Exactly, my boy. Shout out to Trill. Real recognize real. We ain't doing this shit for the likes. We ain't doing this shit for the numbers. We doing this shit from the heart. So, you know, you go from the heart, the real gonna show up, the real gonna pop up. You know what I'm saying? You already know the time it is. Shout out to Crew Season. They gave my first shout. They gave my first airtime. And them brothers been showing me love ever since. Smooth. OT, Smooth, and Trill. I definitely need y'all up here kicking it with the crew. You know, I gotta hit y'all with the celebration. I appreciate
this. Yes. Continue to bring those what
super chats.
Super chats. Thank you.
Continue, go ahead, Sean. You had the floor. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that a reason why I'm bringing this up is not, like I said, to protect the man of steels, but to identify some of the issues that keeps dividing us, because that's really, there's a division that is so prevalent that we sometimes don't even see how we might fuel it. And so I'm just more so like, even if it is something we disagree on these platforms, I would rather you say, Illa, when you meet Amanda, tell Amanda that. So that you can go ahead and address her saying, sis, look, this is, you know, and start with the similarities, the things that you can like about her, as opposed to all of these fool and things you don't like. And that's what's being led. And that's what I'm saying, yo, I get it. And you have a lot of great points. again, she is a feminist, and I am against feminism. So I don't agree with that whatsoever. But I would share with her, if I was to approach her, I would be like, you know what, sis? And I will share some of the things that I like about what she's doing. I will share some things that she has done, or the accomplishments that I can sit and give grace to. And then I might share with her, but you know what? You say that you're with activism, but you seemingly more like you're with feminism. And to each his own, but I would say that feminism doesn't help our people, and then I will explain to her why it doesn't help our people and how it's dividing our people, because the activist, the man, can still have sex with the woman. So he is giving and empowering the women specifically because it's part of getting rid of the man, which has always been part, the easiest design. And then us men, we have a tendency to start fighting with each other, and we get rid of each other. So now they're like, okay, let's give the women some power, because guess what? We already know they're gonna turn on them men. Let's go ahead and put some power into some of these men without character, because guess what? They're gonna kill them men. And we continue to start participating subconsciously in the bigger scheme of things. But I don't like going there on these platforms, because I'd rather have a conversation individually so that we can actually combat.
Can I ask a question real quick to the panel, Illa, if you don't mind?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, it's in what Sean was talking about. Do you think men with a purpose will ever stop and have a conversation with her? What I mean by that is, yourself, like Dorian trains basketball players. If she was in the gym, he's on his purpose. He's never going to address her. If I was doing what I was doing, Sean, you doing what you're doing, like men with purpose around her most likely will never address her, because men who are really on their purpose don't do anything outside of that, because it breaks the continuity of which they're trying to get to another level every day. Every moment they're trying to grow 1%. Every day you're trying to grow a 1% in your purpose. Do you guys think that's the communication problem for men on that level? Because the level that she plays in, the room that she plays in, it takes a certain black man in general to stand in whatever circle he stands in. It has to be a purpose and a concentration there that probably won't even allow him to steer off to make that quota to come over.
But it depends on what you consider your purpose. My purpose is education. Now, the vehicle is basketball training, but I've educated my parents and players on everything, on the recruiting process, contract process, free agency. We've done all of it, right? So it's education, how we handle when to transfer, when not, when to quit, when this isn't for you, need to go to another sport. So these are real conversations I've had. So education is education. So I will, if it presents itself. Now, I'm not going out of my way. So
that's what I mean.
She talks to me and says something, I'm saying, well, hold up. My only issue, right, is that, you can look at it that way, but in my experience, that's not the way it is. Now, we can believe it. If you want me to share with you what the truth is or what you believe, that's something totally different. But if you want me to share the truth of how it actually is based on me being in this industry, here it is, right? At any time you don't want to hear it, let me know, because I'm real big on not wasting my breath. Now, that's how I actually address all of it. I will say it. My life force is so important. I'm not throwing and casting seed on non-fertile soil. That's how.
And I want to say this. That's an excellent response. And I want to say this. And it's not a petty thing, tit for tat thing. It's just that women ask for this type of equal playing field. They fought for it. They fought to make the money. They fought to be heard equally. But so that's what they got to get. They got to get equal critique and accountability. If I see a woman who I've seen multiple times, whenever she gets an opportunity to shit on a brother, do it, she disqualified. In my mind, I don't think she's feasible for the movement. Now, for somebody else, they can talk to her, but I'd rather talk to someone else because her body of work has shown me that she's really not interested in the plight of the collective. She's interested in women's plights. So some people is not eligible to talk to. It's like, everybody can't come, and that's the next level our people got to get to. We don't have to beat each other up or fight, but everybody can't come because it's 2024. If you don't know what time it is by now, when you mind you now, we're talking about someone who's claiming to be an activist. We're not just talking about somebody who's just misguided in their speech, who's an entertainer only. She said, I am an activist for Black people. I'm holding you to the standard of Martin. I'm holding you to the standard of Malcolm. I'm holding you to the standard of all the pantheons of people who bled. She said, I'm speaking from the blood of the ancestors. So if you claiming all of that, I'm holding you to the accountability, the decorum, the wisdom of these people. And if she can't do that, we got to call it a spade, a damn spade, because they can hear an inkling of what a Black man do and run with that shit. So if that's the game they want to, we talking about these people like that are allies. Shout out to the good sisters that are our allies. Some of them are in this chat today. So we're not saying all women. No. We're talking about the women who have professed out their mouth and by their actions have shown us that they're on the other side. I would not talk to sisters. For what? I don't see nothing productive to come out of that.
Well,
now
Sean, Ella, I want to ask this question. I want us to be honest.
Okay.
And you know, so much philosophy about us living in parallel universes at the same time, that everything is going on at the same time. Ancient Rome is happening as we speak, that these all run parallel, and there's some science behind this. That's neither here nor there. The question is, has this already been here before, and now it's just being exposed with social media? The answer is yes. This is nothing new. If you go back to 1960 films, you're going to see Black people talking about undesirable Blacks moving in their neighborhood. We tried to escape that. We trying to get out here because we want to do better, and they're going to come in and lower our property value. This infighting amongst Blacks. But what happens is, it's like that's the foolishness of and the arrogance of our living in our time. I don't mean our time. I mean whatever time you live in. If it was 100 years ago, you're going to always believe that this is the first run of this in the world because this is your first exposure. If you watch my page, I'm always breaking down stuff in terms of basketball. When people think, oh, this is the first time it's happened, I'll drop some stuff and people are like, damn, I didn't even know this dude existed. When did this happen? He was the first person ever to do that. That's what I do. Because nothing is new under the sun. So my question to you is this. Is human nature, is this the design, the oxymoronic nature of life? What I always said, it's always going to be a antagonist and a protagonist. It's always going to be a yin and a yang, that this is just what it is. And the people who find their little niches inside of this is just who survive. But this was happening in the 60s. This was happening 200 years ago. It was happening 300 years ago. And people say, no, it wasn't during that time, but it was. Is that just nature, right? And that because we continue, my offspring pretty much will be like me. Your offspring will be like you. Their offspring will be like them. So we keep having the same issues because the same people keep coming.
We got to hold up. We got another super chat. The brother got another. Thank y'all for the love. You know,
I mean, you got to change the music because I'll be about to dance literally every time.
Every time.
I'm always dancing. I'm like, yeah.
Then you cut it off like a bad DJ.
Yeah. Can I answer first on that one?
Okay.
Well, are you gonna wait before? Are you gonna read the super chat?
Oh yeah, read the super chat. Absolutely.
You can't. You're on mute. Every time you put the music on, it mutes you. Just for the record.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta get a new computer. My Mac is it's growing gray hair. So donate to the Get Ella New Mac Fund so we could keep it coming. But Marcus Evans said, quick question for the brothers. He said, oh, is it showing? Damn, this computer is tripping, man. Quick question for the brothers that support the feminism. Is it possible that they also support white supremacy? And that's a good point, because I think what Amanda Seals and all these so-called Black feminist activists, they are really just bringing us right back to the feet of white supremacy. That's why I'm so adamant against the Amanda Seals.
I will reach to answer that question before any of the other questions and say it's not Is it possible? It is. That's my answer to it.
That's what's birth from.
So we don't need to talk to him. We don't need to talk to him.
Well, what it is that I have a tendency to want to understand both. The same way I in order to conquer white supremacy, you got to have a understanding of it, and vice versa. In order to conquer feminism, you got to have an understanding of it. And so I'm here to conquer it, not here to just ignore it or retreat from it or hide from it. I'm here to combat it, and you can't fight an opponent and not understand how they fight.
But this is how we fight it, Sean. We remove the elements of it in our community, whether it be a person, whether it be a concept, whether it be a song,
you gotta read the manual.
She is a instrument of that. So we need to remove and expose people like her because they are instruments of this while claiming to. That's the thing what makes it so messed up with her. She's claiming
but it's not just her, Ella.
Yeah,
of course not. We talking about her today. I'm saying we talking about her today. It's a million.
So guys, when we talk about white supremacy, let me ask y'all this question.
You put the Malcolm hand on his forehead. You saw me?
Because I've argued this point. There is no such thing as white supremacy right now. It's systemic supremacy, which was founded by white supremacy, and the people carrying it out are Hispanic judges, black police officers, black activists, white activists. It's everybody. So the system, which was predicated on that at one time, right, is now the actual system. And the system founded on that is now being pushed forward by people of every race because it is the system.
Let me elaborate on that. Let me elaborate on that, because
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to elaborate on that, Dorian. You are correct, because around the world, it is the same branding. And what I mean by that is when I travel to Saudi Arabia, when I travel to Dubai, Africa, wherever I go, certain cultures get treated better until I open my mouth. So unfortunately, they treat Africans a certain way versus Asians, versus Saudis, versus Arabs. And before you open your mouth, there's a certain subterfuge that they treat you as. And where do you learn that from? Where do you learn to treat black people so poorly? And I'm talking about African people, black people. And when I open my mouth and they found that I'm American, the demeanor changes because they hold us as a culture changes. They hold us as the land of the free that they never been to. But the branding of me as an American, I'm not a black man outside of America. I'm an American. And that's the difference in the conversation. And you are right, because before I open my mouth, there's a certain way people treat you, and even coming to your car for valet, they'll skip your car if they see someone of another culture behind you, because it's just innately in them to give you. For example, when I fly on planes, if I don't pay for my seat up front, when you get to the teller, they assign your seat right there. You know how many times I've got 28C, the last seat in the back when the plane was empty?
And what's interesting, to answer your question, I got a couple of questions that I haven't answered.
Before that, John, let me just add on real quick, because I know you about to go in. So let me just say this real quick, because somebody said you were saying you were talking about how Dorian said it's systematic. It is systematic, but I still think it's advanced white supremacy, because you got to follow the money, and all of these concepts is to push corporate, worldwide, globalist agendas. The faces of it may be black, brown, Asian, but at the tippy top, it's a bunch of white men. So I still think it's white supremacy. I just think it's modernized. And shout out to my white friend, shout out to my man Jason. If you watching, you know I love you, baby. You know how we do. But I still think it's white supremacy. It's just been franchised. So now you can be your own personal white supremacy. And I think people take on white supremacy. Even look how we deal with it. White supremacy is so advanced now that people, you ever know we dealing with black people, they do funny business with you, and they be like, man, that's just how business is, because black people all over the world has associated white people with the epitome of humanity. So when they think they need to be intelligent, they have to talk a certain way. Like they associate white people with the template
of success with the template of communication. When you call most businesses, if it's an answer machine, you're not gonna hear somebody like us. You're gonna hear a white voice. You turn on the volume on your television. If it's not an athlete, if it ain't a movie or sports, you're gonna see number of white faces or an interracial relationship. You notice that now? You see the black woman with the white dude, and you see the black dude with the white girl. So it's like if you just turn the volume down and just watch TV, you would think that the face of humanity is white people. So I feel like white supremacy is still here. It's just subtle and it's just extremely advanced. They don't have to burn crosses on your lawn and all that no more because they have put a little white man inside of your own mind. And most people are having inner conflicts with the white man inside their own mind. That's why you can't even get to them because they colonize their own self. But I digress.
That's why there's a new Batman. That's why there's a new Batman every 5 years.
Well, to answer the first question, to me, we have a tendency to argue over semantics. And I think that is part of the division. And if we go spiritually, they have a saying that author of confusion is evil. So we just continue to feed into that subconsciously. So yes, it's white supremacy, it's systematic racism, whatever you want to call it. It's not something I'm arguing about because it doesn't matter. It's the root of it. Let's simplify it so that because we complicate it by all of these different titles and subtitles. It's like gang members. You Crips and Bloods. Now you got Pyru and this and that and Crips, and you got Bloods and Crips in the same. The thing is, all of that just gives division ability. And so it confuses us to where we never get to being able to solve or give some type of credence to the organization of a gang and things or the positive or negative. So yeah, am I going to sit here and divide it into nah, because I don't want to argue over semantics because that's part of our challenges, if you ask me. Now, would I speak with Amanda Seals? Absolutely. And when we can't speak to a person, that's part of divide as well. Because guess what? You got, in order for a racist to turn the other cheek, conversation needs to be had. And that has happened in history. And if we're going to sit there and say we can't have it within our own community, but between genders, that makes us hypocritical if we're advocating for a better time. To your point, if in the conversation there, that they get to a point where you identify they're not able to come with us, so be it. But you can't identify that on just their history. You have to understand where they came from. I literally was at a funeral about 3 weeks ago of my ex-girl. Her father was a racist. She was Spanish and something else. But her father was a Mexican cat from out here in LA who's been in and out of jail. So I was the black guy with his daughter, and he was not trying to hear that. And her brother told me at her funeral, she said, "Yo, you are the one who changed my father's mind." My father was always on that. He was known for that. He was toxic with it. He was like, F or blacks. I ain't everything you can say about a racist. I didn't realize that I did this because I didn't know. I was just basically having a conversation with the man, and I did not allow his hate or his cynicism or his perspective to taint me. And that's what I'm challenging us to do. Don't allow something to taint us, to separate us from communicating. Now, if in fact you have the communication, then all of the stuff you're talking about becomes you have something to speak on. But right now you're doing exactly what everybody.
But Sean, why didn't you talk to him and find out why he hated black folks?
I didn't say I didn't.
Did you?
I didn't. I actually, the thing is, I never really addressed it because I just basically he stopped hating black people through me.
I know, but then that was a perfect time, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
I wasn't really that curious on why he hated. I understood why he hated black people. I just explained it to you. That was something that was clear to me. He'd been in and out of jail.
But no. Hear me out. You didn't explain it. You stated that it's always been that way. You didn't say, did he have a personal experience? You got jumped by a gang with black guys, or it was something traumatic that happened that caused that level of hate, because that would have been an important piece to know.
Well, yeah, tell us, man.
Well, what's interesting about what you just said is the point that I'm making to all y'all about Amanda Seales. Y'all haven't had that conversation.
But that's why I'm asking you.
So wait,
you haven't had that conversation.
But the whole thing, but the whole thing is, his ways change simply because I understood it. This is why I didn't have the conversation to answer your question, because I understand the jail system out here. I understand the separation that happens. So the details of why and when ain't really that important to me. That's again what, like I said, that's what comes the confusion of all of the for what. I understand that you're prejudiced and there's a reason for it. Now I understand you've been in and out of jail, and the blacks and the browns do not get along. I have brown friends who have all, that I grew up who say, yo, I could not be a friend of yours, even though we're friends right now. If we got locked up, I can't be your friend. So I understood that mentality to where I didn't have to ask the question. But the point is, I through example and through the way that I approach things, including how I'm speaking now, is how he wound up changing his perspective. And I didn't know he changed his perspective. His son told me that at the funeral, which is now 2024, and I'm talking at least 30 years back when all of this took place before he passed away. He invited me. He started engaging with me differently. So I understood that he was changing his ways, but I never really had a reason to ask him why, because I was showing him why not.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and we about to and shout out to Noble Imhotep, brother. Not today, but I'm gonna definitely have a show when you come up when we talk about the power of words. I think you'll be a perfect panelist for that. But I'm about to wrap it up soon. This is the thing, though, Sean. Like I said, she said she's an activist for black people. That comes with a certain responsibility with your words. I'm gonna hold you to what you claim you to be. Your Mexican, your ex's father, he never claimed to be a lover of black people. He never claimed to be somebody who speaks for him. He's just a Mexican man. So whether he racist or not, it don't even bother me, because he's not advocating to be a unifier of people. If you get on in front of the world stage and said, I dedicate my life to black people through the blood of their ancestors, and every time you fix your mouth, you're saying something, not every time, but a lot of times I've seen her try to get a brother, his career taken away from him, and she just disrespected, and the type of men she's disrespecting. She's disrespecting really upstanding guys, really respectable gentlemen. So I don't need any more reasoning to try to understand her. And I think that's why our people are where they at now, because we're trying to include everybody. You don't have to beat people up. But you think if Malcolm X and Martin could go back and think about people they probably should ignore, they would have done it. They probably still be here today. We can't include everybody when they're showing us context clues of their bottom line. If it barked like a dog, it's a goddamn dog. I'm not going to treat you like a turtle. You telling people that niggas is corny, fuck him, because he had the right, because he had to think about it. What Emmanuel Acho did was more in the line of what you're talking about. Talking to a sister. Hey, sister, you could have went about it this way. Next time, be a champion. Hold your head up high. You had a good. So he was actually exhibiting this interaction of cohesiveness that you're talking about. And who broke it up? The black activists. So we got to call for what she is. If you're not about that, you're not about that, because we're going to confuse the children. Keep trying to think everybody is everybody. Some people are not what they claim to be, and it's okay to call it that. That don't mean they can't change. That don't mean they can't reconcile. But today, that's what you are. She just did a show with Shannon, and she's already dissing Shannon. So she obviously has the animus with black men when they don't agree with her. To disrespect them is very easy for her. And like I said, if she was just a regular person, just a comedian, just a rapper, I wouldn't hold her to that degree. But she said she's a black activist, and I'm gonna hold her to the stance.
Well, Illa. I hear you, and you're passionate about it, but you're listening to certain parts of what she said, and you're being cynical about the other parts. You said she didn't uplift a black man. A black man is who she was speaking about in your clip that you just showed, when she said this guy who was said he saved the BET Awards. Was he black? He just said about a black man, Jesse Collins, the first black man to be able to host not only the BET Awards and his history, but also
who is that? Man. Who is Jesse Collins?
But this is where I say you need to do some homework. Jesse Collins is a black man who just did the Grammy when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock. He was the man producing the Grammys that year. Jesse Collins and his company. So she just bigged up Jesse. And she just bigged him up, and you just ignored all of that because of what you feel about her. And she just did big up a black man who actually is and you just, that just was not anything highlighted in your conversation whatsoever.
Okay, Jesse Collins, he looks like a biracial.
I know him, and don't now you're gonna attack Jesse.
No, because I'm gonna go deep. I'm gonna go there because I know the game these people play. You may not acknowledge it, and you don't have to, but I'm going to do it. I know that everything matters, and we live in a world that's very symbolism matters. That's why they put Drake on such a pedestal, and Kendrick is not, and these other rappers is not. They want a certain phenotype to look like the face of black people. But she always got a problem with some dark chocolate brother, though. She can find that shit. Maybe that don't bother y'all. Maybe y'all don't see it, but I see that shit. I'm not against light-skinned brothers or none of that shit. But it's a difference between putting a brother on a pedestal and then some amazing brother on a pedestal. And I think that's
Illa, did you do enough studying to make those claims? No, you did not. You don't know what
I'm looking at Hollywood. I see how Hollywood moves.
Again, no, I'm talking about, you made the claim that she never spoke about a dark-skinned brother. You don't know that was one of the brothers I mentioned that she mentioned. One of them.
Well, Sean, tell us about a brother she bigged up.
That's neither the point being. No. The point that I'm pointing out to you is you're making all of these claims and you're not doing enough research on it. And you're sitting.
Well, I know this Shannon Sharp. She did Emmanuel Acho and she dissed Myron Rolle. I seen it 3 times. Shame on. First time, shame on me. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Third time, fuck that.
That's a great talking point and a great cliche. But as we said,
I'm over Amanda Seals, bro. You can't sell me on Amanda Seals.
I'm not trying. Again, you think that I'm trying to sell you on them. I don't want to sell you on. I don't know her to sit here and advocate for her or against her. So that's my point to you. I'm just like, but in advocating against her in these platforms and calling her the things that we're calling, we're doing exactly what you're accusing her.
I just said she was silly, and I said she's not an activist. I didn't call her a bitch. I didn't call her stupid.
Foolish. You called her foolish.
It was foolish. Okay. To get on TV and call her brother a corny ass nigga, that's not foolish, Sean.
I mean, to be on.
So if I was to pour a bucket of ketchup on my head right now while I'm talking to y'all, and y'all said that's foolish, would that just be semantics, or would you?
I think you're talking about Illa's talking about the person, and Sean is talking about the systematic structure of the person, and I think that's the difference, right? He's talking about attacking the actual culture and spirit of which she derives her energy, and Illa's focusing on her, like, yo, leave her alone, like. So I think that's what the divide is.
And you're right. And that's the point that I'm making.
What she represent, she can change. Yeah. The door's always open to come home. And man, if you're watching this system, you look good now. You can get it.
She might not.
Right now, when you're doing timeout, you gotta get DP. You can always come home. But right now, she gotta sit out. She in a doghouse, Sean. And that's what she wants to for a minute, Sean.
I agree. And what I'm saying is that you didn't put her in the doghouse. You just basically killed her and said the hell with her.
I didn't kill her. See now. See. Now you playing that game.
Didn't you say I would never have? Wait.
No, Sean. No. I didn't say
Dorian and Sheen. Did he or did he not say, I would not have a conversation, I don't care what? And I'm not quoting him.
You know, I probably wouldn't unless he came up. At the end of the day, man, the way I look at her, like I have to agree with Illa on this from this respect. If you're gonna talk about 4 black men and only 1 positively, that ratio is 25%. So the majority of her is dissing black men. So it's hard for me to extract the 25%, right? When 75% of it is degrading and condescending towards black men. So for me, that would be my primary issue. Some people and I'm gonna just say this, Sean, I get it because this is how I live. So I'm not arguing with you. This is how I actually live. My dad was a perpetual optimist. He saw the good in everybody, which in fact, I mean, I love my dad with everything in me. It's the flaw he left in me. Sometimes you have to be ruthless. Sometimes you have to get rid of the cancers around you. Everybody doesn't have a redeemable value. Everybody doesn't have a redeemable quality. That is foolish for us to believe because we don't do it in business. We don't do it anywhere, and we shouldn't do it in our community. That's why, you know, my cousin, and he'll laugh if he hears this. My first cousin said it before. I started to evaluate those that support women like this. When you have men in the comment section who are, for our lack of a better term, simping.
There we go.
That is the lowest form of life. It's not even a woman. It's the ones that won't chastise, won't stand up and say, no, I support you. But they're trying to gain favor as if they're going to get kudos for being champions of nonsense. You don't get kudos. And here's the problem. And I'm going to say this, Sean. This is the problem. Illa, this is the problem. Sheen, this is the problem. Our view is so monolithic. Black people are so monolithic in view. I can give my entire life to Black people. And if I simply say, well, I want to hear what Trump talking about, they will cancel me. No, they don't care what I did for the community. I've given my life. And because I simply say, what the hell? Stuff we've been doing ain't working. Speaking to your boy Q, soon as he has something like, oh, he a white boy. I ain't like him anyway. Everything, you cannot satisfy us. So if you do simp, just always know your day is coming. Unless you continue to simp. But if you ever stand up and say what you really feel, you're going to get canceled by our people anyway, because we are monolithic in our views, period.
Look at when Q was on the show with the girls, Cocktails with the Queens. Did y'all see that? He was on there talking about, hey, I got a plan called the Plan for Black America. He said, Republican Party, so the Republican Party reached out to me, and they said, we're trying to implement your program right now. He said, Biden and them reached out to me and said, we're going to implement it after you help us get in office. And he said, I got a plan for Black people. The women on that panel said, I hear you talking, Cube, but what's in it for us? He said, I said, Black people, that includes Black men, Black women, Black boys and girls. They said, no, we got special needs. See, we're talking about a spirit in certain women that is creating a separate class of Black people that just doesn't include men. And they think they're in a special unit. And we're going to call them out for what the hell they is, bro. And like I said, I'm holding her to the standard of not a comedian, not just a sister, but of an activist, because she said that's what she is. And she is nothing nowhere near close to that.
Well, so hold on, Sean. Let me say this.
Go, Shame. I'm sorry.
When we go for the whole oracle of what we say at the beginning, she was actually entertaining, right? And when you do a deep dive and you have to say to yourself, what is she feeding? She's feeding that spiritual war of negativity towards us, towards the culture of Black men. She's feeding that. And to go all the way back to the beginning conversation, Dorian talked about the young lady popping the balloon, right? And she said, this guy seems like a predator. When you do your research on that young lady, that same young lady tried to take several baseball players to court saying the same thing, trying to get money out of professional baseball players. That same girl.
We not talking to them no more, Sean. We ain't talking to them, bro.
So when she comes, when people come, not just women, just men and women, period, come and see what nucleus are they feeding, and the answer Dorian's questions way back when he said the difference is, like, I believe all of us, and this is my opinion, I believe we have heaven and hell inside of us, and I believe back in the day we didn't feed hell so much. So I think it was less of us that wanted to not live in the same neighborhood as Black people. But now, as we feed hell every day, everything we have has a drop of hell in it. Everything. We feed hell way more. We send that source of spiritual energy way more. We feed that tarantula to grow further and further, to where we feed the hell and heaven inside of us. And then your natural decisions, where you're not really thinking, take place. And that's what happens first when we feed more of hell into this heaven. She's feeding the hell in us versus the goodness. And that's where I take my strike with her.
Bang.
Beautifully
Okay.
put.
So
it's okay. So
let me get these last two. Let me get these last two super chats in. Shout
and
out
by the
to
way,
my
anybody who is think that I'm pandering or that I'm simping, why don't you add a what is that called again, y'all?
What?
I think you're being
a super chat. Why don't you
No,
add a
I don't
super
think you're simping at
Sean,
all.
I think you're being entertaining. I think you're driving the conversation, but have a complete plethora of thought. And I think I acknowledge everybody.
Sean always looks at the, Sean is the, I
This is
love
great.
Sean.
I'm gonna get there. I want you to go.
He's Captain Planet. You know what I'm saying? He wants to hold hands.
Absolutely.
With everybody.
Now I'm gonna say this.
And seeing we shall overcome over the rainbow, over the cornbread. I ain't mad at him though.
Yeah, to both of y'all points, he's right, and you're right. I am entertaining, and I am about love, Captain Love, whatever the case may be. But the point that I'm making is, if you're gonna call me a simp, put it in the Cash App. I mean, in a super chat. Put it in a super chat. That's what I'm saying. So put it in the super chat. Let that hate be able to come to me to be able to bless Illa and getting his new computer. So support his channel.
Sean is my man. Sean is always welcome over here. Sean is always welcome because you know why? Because it's not about agreeing, ladies and gentlemen. Because now I'm talking to the crowd now. As you can see, we can have conversations where we don't agree and we still love each other. We don't have to hate each other. We're showing the man that seals how to do it right now. We don't all agree, but we ain't calling each other out our names. We ain't disrespecting each other. So all the ladies of the YouTube world, all the men of YouTube world, this is how you do it. Like this. We don't got to disrespect each other.
Then our next panel, we need to talk about Shay asking the questions he's asking.
Because Shannon be simping too. Let me get some super chats. Shout out to Marcus Evans and my boy King Rush. Y'all know what I love. Y'all know what I love.
So what I would like to see, most of us, and Sheem, I don't know if you and Sean are the same way, but I want to hear your story, how you got there, the things you had to do to become who you became. I don't really care about who did you wrong along. If that's part of the story of how you got where you got, I don't know, man. For me, it's just an issue.
Big up to Marcus. That's what I'm talking about. Marcus.
He's funny. It's gonna say, hey, so Dory, to answer your question with that too, like that's how I met Illa. I have a podcast called Solutions for Men where I interview men about their story, and the whole thing is about leaving nuggets behind for people to follow, so we can have wisdom and knowledge through all men, because we are each other's libraries. That's my biggest thing. You don't have to be a celebrity. You can just be a person who experienced life, and whatever you experience life can help a person who is in that situation. So that's my contribution to our culture. That's what I really focus on, right? And I invite any man on my platform, and it's only for men, right? It's only for men. And we have these conversations, and I ask 16 questions, ask the same 16 questions to the men, and it comes out a little different each time, because we all have different experiences, but it helps people. So I get what you're saying in that regard, and that's how I approach the situation as well.
You do. Well, I appreciate you.
And let me now say some of the things that I was going to say. One, I said what this girl is saying and all that. One, I said it 5,000. I said it. I'm exaggerating always. I said it 5,000 times on here. I'm not for Amanda Seales and her actions, but what I am challenging is the actions of us brothers up on this. Not us brothers up on this panel. And you say, I don't want to hear what she got to say. I get it. I'm not curious on what people are saying. To Dorian's point, I'm curious on why they're saying it. Okay. And that's the thing that we gloss over, because we get in our emotions as far as what they're saying, and we get offended, and we want to start taking these grand stands, and then we're just as guilty as they are. The way that again,
I think why she's saying it is because she's a feminist.
But that's what why. You think. But you haven't had the conversation to come to that conclusion, which means you are exactly assuming, and it's a safe assumption in fairness, It's a safe assumption, but it's not. It doesn't negate that it's an assumption nonetheless. And you're sitting there standing on it.
Sean, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. So the yin and the yang of your conversation is saying we didn't have a conversation with Amanda Seales. So we can arguably say on the other side of your spectrum of your questions that we never had a conversation with Martin Luther King. So how do we know that he's the way he is?
Well, we don't. That's my point. We assume because of what we heard that he is the way he is. We don't know. There's been rumors about.
He has enough of his work. He's been with his fruit.
Wait. There's been rumors about Martin Luther King and his.
But we're not disputing that. Yeah, he had hoes. That ain't the issue. He left fruit with them hoes.
So the point, I'm not even. I don't know, but we have heard that. The point being is that you asked me the question on how do we know, and I will say that he has intelligently and strategically and bravely attacked the white supremacist system that he was living in, and he had led the way on doing so in a peaceful manner. We do know that.
Yeah, but it was a measuring stick, which we judged him from a distance. And to be held accountable in that same regard for yin and yang from both ends of the spectrum, we must use our judgments to actually have wisdom and knowledge and understanding of that. So if she presents herself as an antagonist, and that's all she feeds us consistently as the common denominator in her relationships on and off the field in terms of being on TV, then we must assume on the other ladder, when we have our righteous men that we consider leaders and we read scholars and books about that we never get to meet personally, be held at the same regard.
And what I'm saying is neither one of them are proven. They're just basically what we feel and what we believe.
Martin Luther King is not proven?
Yeah, she
wow.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this because again, my position is on love, morality, things of that nature.
Question.
Yes, sir.
That love, morality, things of that nature. How do you think your mind transcended to actually formulate that equation without Martin Luther King?
It didn't. Put it this way: without Martin Luther King, I never said peace. I said love. I never said that love doesn't come through in peaceful way. So Martin Luther King did not design my position.
No. Let me go further. Mm-hmm. I talked about earlier how she fed the pool of negativity. Martin Luther King may not directly affected you, but the offsprings of what he's done to the community, to the person that you may have met in your neighborhood who might have studied Martin Luther King affected you. Just what is happening today with negativity in our culture.
And so did Nikki Barnes, and so did
absolutely.
So what are you saying? So it all has affected me.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that perspective. What I'm giving an analogy to mine. If Nikki Barnes affected you and you never had a conversation, what do you think Amanda Seales is doing to young ladies in feminism?
The point that I'm making with the conversation is I haven't placed judgment on either of them, Nikki Barnes, Martin Luther King, or Amanda Seales in this case. But judgment is being placed right now, and none of us have had a conversation.
No, but Nikki Barnes and Martin Luther King affected your life positively indirectly.
I just said I did not place judgment.
I'm not placing judgment.
Again,
I'm not placing judgment.
But what did Amanda Seales do for you? What did her life? Because Martin Luther King, whether you like him or not, he's benefited your life indirectly. Nikki Barnes, he affected your life indirectly. What did Amanda Seales do to affect your life indirectly? And Dory, you
go ahead. The point that I'm making is not
about.
You
got to answer that, Sean. You got to answer that question, bro. What did she do? What did she do right now? What have she done?
Are you going to allow me to answer it? Okay. She allowed me to see the BET Awards with her hosting it.
Go ahead.
Now, can I finish?
13 different outfit changes, like she said.
Now, can I finish?
Absolutely.
The point that I was making is that it's not about Amanda Seales or whatever her name is. The point that I'm actually saying is that we're judging a person, and we have a tendency to do this, and that judgment causes a lot of our dissension that we complain about. And then we sit in there advocating and doing exactly what it is that we complain about, exactly what women complain. We do the same thing.
But Sean, you're doing it. when you say Illa is assuming. That's a judgment.
No. That's an observation.
Listen,
he assumed
we're
he did not.
We're observing her bullshit, and we're calling it out.
Listen, hear me out, Sean, all the way
Go
through.
ahead, hold on, Sean. Let him go. Let Dorian speak. Go ahead, Dorian. Go ahead.
So hear me out. And I don't want you to be defensive and think it's a bad thing I'm saying, but you are judging him. You don't know his history and his research with her and how much stuff you've done, but you're saying what Illa, you're taking this stance, but you're shaking your head, but that's really what you're saying. So
no,
you're judging.
I sat here and observed him not have the information, and I shared it with him.
About one dude that did something?
It doesn't matter. You're saying
that it's about numbers.
Can I say something?
We got 4 men. All right, listen, we got 4 men. Because you brought up people that we already know their legacies. She don't even compare to Martin Luther King, but you brought him up.
I agree.
So you got 4 things. We got documented. We know 4 men she spoke about. She spoke about Shannon Sharp. She spoke about Manuel Acho, and she spoke about Myron Rowe, and she spoke about Jamie Collins. 3 out of those 4 men she spoke about was in a negative light. So if we're about the community, we're pointing out the agents of the dysfunction. She's causing dysfunction. So it's our responsibility to call it out because she is creating a problem. We're not creating a problem by pointing out a dysfunction that she's providing. She's dividing people. She's saying black men are over here and black women are over there, and we're calling it out. Because if we go by your logic, because to me, your logic is what is, to a degree, no disrespect, is what these women be kicking. Because if you can't hold nobody accountable to nothing, then we got chaos. There has to be parameters. There have to be limitations. They have to be right and wrong, bro.
I'm embracing, and Sheem, I hear you. I'm embracing what you're saying, and I'm holding you accountable. You just finished saying that she only spoke about 4 men, one of which you did not recognize before I brought it to your attention. She did speak about more than 4 men. She spoke about another man. She spoke about her man. She spoke about more than, and they were in positive lights. But you missed all of that.
Yeah, her man.
So in
That's
totality,
her man. Of course, you're gonna talk about him. She's doing
not measuring who he is, but you just
that matters. That matters.
Since I'm the oldest person in here, can I want to
let me say one thing, Dorian, real quick.
Let Sheem go and then Dorian.
So in totality, she talked about more than men. She talked about the cast of Insecure, and those are other black women and other people who are successful. So in my stance is that her actual aura and spirit was divisive. Sean, you said you're all about love and community and growth. I'm telling you, in my perspective, there's an opposite to you, right? There's an opposite. There's somebody who's divisive, and somebody who practices in their division with their energy. You practice love, she practiced division, because on that show, innately, she talked about black women, black men, and in totality, she brought those perspectives of her views outside of what can happen in closing doors. Like she brought the dirty laundry out to the street.
She shitted on Shannon in front of him, talked about him in front of him, right? So guys, I want to say this. So y'all all watched Waiting to Exhale, right? I'm old enough to know I was a grown man when it came out.
Drop it.
Did everybody watch Waiting to Exhale? That's really the phenomenon that we're talking about right now. It's the Waiting to Exhale phenomenon. And if you think about culturally what happened to our women after that movie. So it was 7 men in that movie, 7 depictions of men in that movie, and only 1 positive. And I'm going to explain it to you, right? So you remember Layla Rashawn. She slept with Wendell Pierce. I know real names. I don't know the names in the show, but Wendell Pierce. Mm-hmm. He came into a board meeting. He talked about her presentation, and she in her head was like, "It'll be the last time he gets some having the nerve to question me in front of everybody." He was just doing his job, but he was the quickie in bed, right? Then later on, she was still messing around with Leon. Leon was no good from the beginning. She knew he was no good, right? Off and on with him. Then the tomato throwing dude who was throwing the tomatoes at her, taking her to the drug Hollywood parties, right? And at the end, she realized her value. They were all bad men. Boom. Now we got Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston is dating an Allstate dude. Smooth dude, love his voice, but he was married. She knew he was married the whole time. And at the very end, she looked in his face and said, you know what I realized about you? You the scum of the earth. Not her sleeping on that man's wife. Not her. He was, right? Then you had, of course, Angela Bassett, right? Her husband left her for the white woman once he built this company, right? And then we find ourselves with the Gregory Hines character. Had lost his wife, moved next door. She had a son whose dad was gay, right? Son was acting out, and he accepted being able to talk to her son because she already had a son, and he liked big women. I like my women with a little meat on their bones. So it played into, he was only good because he was willing to accept this woman's child, right? And he liked her the way she was. I like all of this. So this is the phenomenon we're in. We're out here talking about Amanda Seales said one positive thing. Would you say Waiting to Exhale overall was a movie that supported black men, supported it, or did it demean black men in its totality?
It absolutely demeaned black men. And the way that I speak, because I said a few times, I am not for Amanda Seales, and matter of fact, her feminist point of view, I disagree with. I said that, but that's been missed. Huh?
That's all she is. She's a walking feminist point of view. What else is she?
Once again, I said that, but what I also, and this is what I guess it boils down to, I would rather tell Amanda Seales that. Because when I speak to Amanda Seales, I'm telling Illa what Illa's doing when I'm speaking to Illa. I'll tell Dorian what Dorian's doing. I'll tell Sean. You can tell me. But I'm saying, why are we sitting there speaking and doing exactly what it is that what she did on that platform?
That's what you. That's your perception of it, but that's not what we're doing. That's your perception of it. That's not what we're doing. We're calling out.
Let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
The reason why we're speaking about what she did, because the overall premise is that black men can have a conversation and still have opinions and have an intelligent point of view. It's not about what we're speaking on. We are speaking on that, but the overall consensus of what we're giving out, what we're feeding, is a positive energy. What she's feeding is divisiveness.
And to be honest with you, I agree with that. What I'm saying is, I don't agree with the divisiveness that she's spewing. I don't agree with that feminist mentality that she advocates.
That's what we're talking about, though, Sean.
That's the most harmful ingredient in her recipe.
My point is, when we're speaking, I'm not disagreeing with that. All I'm saying is, why we already pointed out her, but we gotta continue to hone in on her.
Let me ask you a question. One question.
Hopefully this makes sense. Sometimes you have to be who you aren't to remain who you are. So if I am not a killer and someone pulls out a gun on me, I'm gonna have to become a killer. I'm not that person. But to remain a non-violent person, I'm gonna have to kill him to live to remain the person. So sometimes you gotta become who you aren't to remain who you are. So when I say stuff like that, sometimes I gotta attack every now and then, fire with fire.
Exactly.
To back them off in order for me to remain who I am.
I agree with you. I'm just saying she ain't here to be attacked. So why are we?
Question, Sean.
Her actions. We're having a conversation about her actions, and I agree with everybody's position. Correct?
Yeah. No. Let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
What is the odds of you running into Amanda Seales talking to her versus running into all the women that she makes more powerful that you're gonna run into on a consistent basis every day?
Excellent.
What are the odds? About 20 or 30% that I will run into her.
What's the odds you're gonna meet her disciples?
About 90, 80%.
So that's why we talk.
Who would you deal with mostly at the grocery store?
Exactly. This is another thing you gotta realize. And Dorian, you killed it. Women are trying to rebrand what a man should be, and I hear and I notice it a lot when I hear men speak about it. We don't want to critique them because that's how women told us that to critique them means that we're weak. It means that we're sassy. So we buy into that shit. So we think if we're critiquing women, we're doing something wrong. But that's a narrative that women gave us because they don't want to be held to the same standard they want to hold us to, which is fine. But they, like I said, they fought to be in the same boat as us. They fought to make the money we got. They fought to be CEOs how we are. So you got to take the same accountability. But I feel like a lot of men and women are trying to rebrand manhood to make it feasible for women. It's like, no, men are objective and we're gonna call out the bullshit. That's what makes us men. We can't be anything else. This is what we are.
A good friend of mine who really started this, and when I say this, I'm not just joking. He really started this space some years ago. He had a show called Philosophy, and he's the one that Kevin Samuels used to call into the show to get advice about stuff. So he was that dude, my man Daryl Lawson. And so it was some points on his show. I've seen some of the old clips, and they talked about how it's crazy, but draconian law, the drastic measures that were in place for women back in the day. When we look back at it, we say, like, that's crazy that women didn't have rights to do this, and this. But now moving forward, and we start to see the emotional nature, a woman would get a divorce every Tuesday. If it wasn't, if it wasn't laws put in place, because they're getting divorces every Tuesday because the laws allow them to do it. So when we talk about the ebb and flows of relationship, we're more apt to make decisions not based on the ebb and flow, but based on the long term. They're more prone to make decisions with the ebb and flow, right? Name one woman who's had the divorce when they weren't in the valley. They didn't divorce a man when things were going well. They divorced it when it wasn't, right? So they're prone to more emotional outbursts. So we sometimes think about the olden days and they didn't have a clue. Maybe they did have a clue with why certain rules weren't so accessible to women, because with the decisions break up more homes. Right? I mean, and that doesn't, and don't, because I know people are going to twist it and say, oh, so you saying they should have held them as property? Not at all, man. We're not going down that road. Nobody going to put me on that, and I'll debate anybody who wants to do it. That's not what I'm talking about. But if we know kids are going to open up the cabinet, shouldn't we put the lock on the cabinet, right? No matter how many times we tell them, their nature is going to probe in that cabinet, so we just got to put a lock on it. Facts. Maybe if divorce was not as accessible, some of this, what we're talking about, would be solved, right? So that's what we're saying in terms of the mentality. So, that's just my piece on that. The rules, maybe folks weren't wrong 150 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they knew something that we don't. They got the freedom now to do whatever they want to do, and it's not. It doesn't look well right now.
And I agree. Power is intoxicating. I say it all the time, and it's intoxicating for both men and women. We have been intoxicated when we have received power that we did not have in this country, specifically Black men versus the power of wanting to be getting the same privileges as a white man. Same way women have now wanting to get the same power as a man. And and both have abused that intoxication on different levels at different times. Not all, but they both have. Men have abused it and went out, and as soon as they got money, they were going out and having other families and things of that nature. Women are doing the same thing right now. Now that they're getting the intoxicating power. So I understand the results of that intoxicating power. And what I'm saying is resolution that I'm suggesting is getting a little bit more into why, like I said, not what they're doing, but why they're doing it, and having these conversations directly, not personalizing them, but generalizing them, because a lot of things also we get personal when people take it personally when we're speaking generally, women specifically, but men do it too sometimes too. and vice versa. When we're speaking generally, they want to get specific. Oh, what about stats? What they don't matter. So the point is this is a never-ending cycle, and it continues. And we're not combating it; we're fueling it at times. And my point is, if we can't identify when we're fueling it, then it will continue it will continue. And I'm not saying that we are the blame. I'm not saying that, because we both have some blame in it. I will lean more towards right now the women have more of the blame than we do.
Allowing someone to come into consciousness is also important, right? So if I said to a woman, men are the only way women can ascend. Men control who goes up and who goes down, right? Personally, right there, that woman would think I'm attacking women, but not knowingly in her consciousness that men can't ascend without other men saying that it's okay. But they feel it's an attack on them. But it's the same tropes and tribes that we fight. But at the same time, I believe that when a man's purpose is right and intact, he can elevate a woman to a certain location. But when a woman is in charge of that location, the way the world is structured, she can only get but so far until it falls off, because she's going to need to protect it in the long run. And that's what I think a man does for a woman, like the services and protection and provision and the leadership and the guidance. And I think a woman pans everything out, spreads it out. You get the table, she puts the table and she sets it, right? And she makes it look good. And if you expand the table, more people might sit there. So you have to understand that prospect as well.
Agreed.
Let's give up our last words, fellas. Sean, I'll give you the floor first. Last words from the wise elder.
I would say this. Thank you for having us, first and foremost.
Of course.
I enjoy your perspective always. It always broadens mine. And Dorian and Sheem, it's my first time meeting you, but I as well enjoyed your perspectives because it also elevated mine. But the perspective that I speak from is really trying to simplify certain things so that we can get some results, and stop adding to the division because of our egos and our pride. And I think that is really the root of a lot of our separation. And we can continue to point the fingers at the details of those roots, but if we're not having a conversation about those details, we probably won't get a resolution. And that's why when we said, will you have a conversation with her? I was like, absolutely. Because again, if we are ruling out conversation, we're ruling out resolution. And I'll leave it there.
Respect. James, on you.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for just watching the show tonight. Make sure y'all support Illa. He's a dope human being. I want to say thank you for y'all guys' perspectives. Sean, I appreciate the adage of reverse engineering. Dorian, I appreciate you saying fight fire with fire. I want to invite you guys to come on my podcast for one-on-one interviews. I would love to hear more about you gentlemen. And I just want to say we come from a like-minded perspective. I'm always excited, Illa, to think with the top of my brain as much as possible, to use all the words that I studied that I want to know. And if you're going to call me a geek, that's fine. I'm a geek out because I love intelligent conversations. I love growth, and I feel like I reached that tonight. And I just want to say peace and blessings to you and your family and everybody watching. And thank y'all for letting me come on this platform today.
Anytime, brother. You know you can always pull up, man. Dorian, it's on you, bro.
All right, man. My perspective, and I'm gonna close it with this. You know, I talked to my good friend who I just mentioned about the ability to change. It was maybe the wealth divide I was talking about at the time. Was it any way to close it in our lifetime? And the truth is no, because we would have to be awarded the principal amount that's there, the exact principal, to catch up with the interest. It's no, the interest will outpace our ability to close that gap. With that being said, I also talked about the epiphany I had that it has to be built from the inside out. Our children, before we start going everywhere trying to save everybody, we got to instill the values in the people closest to us. And we got to hold their feet to the fire, because I think ultimately that's what spreads outward, right? Just by their glow, by the way they handle themselves, by the way they think and talk that's different from those around them, is what is going to change all of it, and I think it grows more quickly when we do the great. And I'm gonna say this: the great reach always gets infiltrated because people are going to appear and show up inside of the movement that is there simply for intel and to destroy it. So if it goes from your family out, by the time it grows, it can't be stopped, right? And so, in my opinion, I think we need to continue to focus on that. Now, again, we do have to have some outreach, but we got to really focus on our families and making sure that they're getting the message that we want to share to the rest of the world, and that's how we keep this moving.
Exactly, and it's great that you said that, because I was just on a panel a week ago, and they was talking about solutions, and I said, I think the solution is the children. But I said, I feel like it's many solutions. I said, it's not just one solution to the problem. And I said, the children. And I was laughed at. I was told I was being funny. I was told I was being sarcastic. I was saying, and I said, it's a spiritual war more so than it is a gender war. And I was told I was funny. So it's just refreshing to hear other like-minded brothers to see that you have to deal with home. You have to start with the youth. Our generation is what they are. We have to restart this thing by re-engineering the young people and giving them opportunities and information that we didn't have, because they're going to be the ones that's running the society in the future. So it's good to just talk to like-minded brothers, not people just trying to find a gotcha moment, not people just trying to create sensational clips. Like, I really want this channel to grow and make a place where people can get some entertainment, but mostly education and knowledge and a good dialogue. Like, let's stop pushing these crap channels. And I ain't just talking about trying to knock somebody else, but I'm just saying, even it's other good channels, not just mine. Let's push real content. We can't complain about the social engineering done by the system. We can't complain about the messed up music. Whenever we get a chance to put out an image, we just putting out nonsense and divisive shows. We got to be about what we say we're about. So I'm trying to do it. This is my part. I'm trying to play and to facilitate these type of conversations. So I really appreciate you guys. You know, I definitely want y'all to come back. You know what I'm saying? So Dorian, we locked in. Sheen, we locked in. Sean, you already know what it is. So what? You the big bro. And yeah, man, I appreciate you fellas for real. Love to y'all.
Love to you as well. And one thing that I forgot to say that I think I want to, let's focus on our similarities as opposed to our differences.
I respect that. I respect that. I respect that.
All right. Well, good night, fellas. I appreciate y'all.
Y'all saying
good night.
Good morning over here. It's good morning.
Peace. Word. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Peace. All right, y'all. Another episode in the Biddocks. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody for pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody for the super chat. I think I got a late one. I think. Okay. Sean, Skunk, my boy Hassan hit me with a super chat. Appreciate it. Stop playing that game and create our own. Simple. Exactly, man. Shout out to Marcus Evans with another super chat, man. I appreciate the love, y'all. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. We're going to keep growing this thing. We're going to keep doing what it do. Quality needs to make a comeback. Let's make quality great. Let's make panels great again. I need to, somebody going to take that. I got to make that hat for somebody else take it. Let's make Black YouTube great again. Let's make Black panels great again. Thank y'all for the super chat. You know I got to hit y'all with my appreciate it. I don't love the dough. I love that song though, but I appreciate the contributions. I love the support. I love the camaraderie. I love the conversations. I love you all for supporting me, and not just supporting me, but supporting what I'm trying to represent. Because it's not about me; it's about the energy I'm trying to portray, and which is trying to convey, which is positivity. You know, I know y'all see me caught up in a few little verbal fisticuffs over a few weeks, but I ain't trying to be a part of that BS. I'm trying to bring y'all some quality content. So share the message, like, share, and subscribe. You know, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you all. Shout out to Elevated Mind Healer. Shout out to Jamal Craft. Shout out to Skunk Pack, Marcus Evans. Shout out to my boy Ring, aka Nasir Bay. Shout out to Noble Imhotep. Shout out to even Lauren Craft for her little sarcastic comment.
Shout out to Picasso. You already know what it is, my boy. Shout out to Latanya from Colorado. Appreciate, sis. You've been pulling up. I appreciate you, sis. I see you showing love. Keep it pushing. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Shout out to Abel. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that pulled up. Shout out to Night-ish. Appreciate you, brother. I definitely want you on the show too, Night-ish. If you're still in here, I definitely want you to pull up soon too. So shout out to everybody. I'm gonna work on my next show. I'm just trying to keep it pushing. I'm trying to do an in-studio thing. So look out for that coming soon. Live in-studio panel. So yeah, y'all, we are out. I hope you have a blessed weekend. Be safe out there and try to have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Get some of this fresh air and this beautiful weather. All right? Peace.
Them niggas shrink around you, man. You know what I'm saying? They just in the space probably before you was a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas shrink when you come around. That's why them niggas don't want you around.
Situation with the genders and all of that shit that we've been hearing about. And there's nobody better than the gore. Philosophical to come set that bitch off.
Yo, you know you